G'day everybody, welcome to the Independent Scientology podcast. I'm your host Andy Nolch, and it's nice to be here listening to the Strauss. This is a podcast that has everything to do with Scientology. Yes, that funky religion you might have heard about before. If you like this podcast, then subscribe to it because it helps me potentially make a little bit of coin from it. If you don't know what Scientology is, then I recommend listening to the first few episodes of this podcast where I talk about Scientology for beginners. It's basic, it's easy to understand, and you can get it. Scientology is quite a complex subject. How did you like that last podcast episode with Andrew Fleischer? Ooh, a bit interesting. I think tonight's podcast though is going to be very, very good. Get excited. Today's podcast might be the best one yet. It's now time to go down that rabbit hole into the world of Scientology. Up is down, down is up, left is right, right is left. What you thought wasn't possible is possible. Oh, we're down the rabbit hole. Welcome to the Indie Scientology podcast. I'm your host, Andy Nolch, and today's show is with Silvia Kusada. It is a good podcast, this one. It's very down the rabbit hole. Could be the best one yet. Could be the best podcast yet. Anyway, something that's on my mind is the Indie Scientology news on Twitter. That has nothing to do with me. But there's a Twitter page called Indie Scientology News. And my beef with it, I just want to talk a little bit about it, is because they used to share, I don't know who runs it, I know it's one of these Scientology haters, but they used to share some of my videos and interviews on their Twitter, and then they stopped. And I think it was because I stopped being so negative towards the church, right? Because I think from the start, they knew I was an independent Scientologist, so I was pro-Scientology, but they'd seen some things that I'd made that were anti the church, right? And so they kind of liked me. But then when they saw that I didn't really hate the church that much, and, I just want the church to improve, right? They'd seen some of the stuff I'd done where I'd said, I just want the church to improve and I don't really hate the church. Suddenly they stopped sharing some of my videos. And it just was on my mind because I was thinking about these Scientology haters and how, deepful their hate is. And they just hate Scientology so much that, someone like me who just, I feel, tells the truth about Scientology, which says that the church is sort of corrupt and then mentions the good side of Scientology, they just can't handle that. They only want someone who's just totally hating on Scientology. Because I noticed this Indie Scientology news on Twitter. I noticed from day one, I was like, this has to be a Scientology hater because it just had so many negative articles about Scientology on it. And it was just like, oh yeah, great. I wonder who's running this one, And it was great that they did share some of my videos, right? But then obviously they just went, nah, I can't handle Andy Nolch because he doesn't hate the church, because he's not bitter and stuck in the past like a loser. I can't handle him. You know what I mean? And so, well, bad luck. You know what I mean? Fine then. That's how it is. If you're going to have that stuck attitude, it's just, I don't know. I just think, is it weird that someone's positive that sees that the church is corrupted and wants the church to improve and doesn't hate the church or hate the church members. Is that weird for someone not to hate the Church of Scientology? So what's a bit corrupted? Like, do you know how disgustingly corrupted the banks are and all these other things? Anyway, I just wanted to mention that because it's just like these Scientology haters are just so full of hate. It's just like, get over it. You know what I mean? Like, start being positive, and that's what all my stuff is. I'm not a Scientology attacker. I'm a constructive criticism, whatever the word is. I do constructive criticism. I legitimately say certain points that are wrong with the church, and I wish them the absolute best, and I hope that some of my ideas reach people in the church or whatever, or in the theta land, somehow it reaches them, and they cognite on these things, and slowly the church starts to reform. But these Scientology haters, they just want to rip on the church all the time. And it's really weird because if they really hate the church that much, they should be loving me because I'm like trying to make the church improve. So if they really think the church is this big, scary, evil thing, then they should really be supporting someone like me and other independents and that who are positive towards Scientology because we're constructively criticizing the church and, we're trying to improve the church, not just hate on it. Whereas them, they just hate on the church and their hate's not getting anywhere. They're not going to improve the church. So I guess want to say to them, your attitude's not working to improve the church. My attitude is. My way of approaching it is helping to improve the church. Just hating it on all the time won't get anywhere. It's like you got some kid who's bad at school. If you just keep on abusing them, you won't get anywhere. But if you just talk to the kid and, say some things that they've done wrong at school and criticize them for that, but don't be all full of hate, then the kid might actually listen to you and start getting better. But the way you are is just you're being like this Nazi parent. It's like, you're a little scoundrel kid. I hate you. You're shit at school, and just like ripping on them. But it's funny. I knew it. You know what I mean? I knew it was coming. You know what I mean? Like they would stop sharing my videos or whatever. And I could just tell from day one, whoever was running that indie Scientology news on Twitter was just one of these bitter people because they were just like, just obsessed with sharing articles that are just full of hate. Of course, they love Chris Shelton. Anyway, I mean, and the name they chose as well for indie Scientology news is like, I get it, they're news that's independent from the church, but like, it's a little bit of a wrong name because we've got independent Scientology, so it's a little bit of a misnamer. So they probably should change it to like Scientology is horrible news or negative news about Scientology or something like that. Anyway, like it was funny when they started Indie Scientology news, I saw some little thing on Twitter that was like, not affiliated with the Indie Scientology podcast or something like that. That's like, oh, I have to, no, I'm not affiliated with Andy Nolch in that podcast. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, I would post stuff and I wouldn't write not associated with the Indie Scientology news. I don't care. Like, I'm not associated with the Indie Scientology news, and maybe one or two people might think I am, but like, I wouldn't bother putting that. But they make a post and they're like, oh, not associated with Indie Scientology podcast. Oh, I have to put that in brackets and let everyone know. Don't let people think I'm associated with Indie Scientology podcast. I'm worried about what people think of me. That's basically what they're saying when they do those little things where they put them in brackets. It's like, I'm concerned, Just like, chill out. It's just internet land. Have fun. Come uptone. Anyway, that's the something on my mind comment. All right, here's Scientology news. See, this is what they would object to. See, in my Scientology news, I'm mentioning that Copenhagen has a new ideologue, and that's all I'm going to say. Whereas they want me, in my Scientology news, to probably have some scandal about the Copenhagen ideologue, or to say the Copenhagen ideologue event had fake people in the audience, or just something negative. And it's just like, hey, like, I disagree with the ideologue program, but whatever, they've gone with it or whatever. Good on them. They've got a Copenhagen ideologue. I wish people in the church the best. And I believe that the church is improving. You know what I mean? And the church isn't my enemy. Okay? And it shouldn't be any independent Scientologist enemy. They shouldn't hate the church or see it as an enemy. They should just see it as something that got corrupted. Just like the corporations, all those sorts of things, they all fall down the toilet. They take it happens with like all the major religions. You have something good, these SPs get around it, they screw it up, and they turn into a control mechanism. You could have the education system, and it could be great, could teach people good philosophy and good mathematics and teach people how to do their taxes or whatever. And you just wait, before you know it, some SPs, some administration sort of people, the paperwork sort of people, not the really people who actually teach and really do the actual work of it, the manager type people who don't really produce shit, will go in there and they'll take it over, and before you know it, it'll be teaching shit, but it'll be putting out like ads saying we're the greatest the greatest school organization, education ever, and it'll have great PR, professional, nice looking buildings, and it'll just be crap education. It's just what happens to things when we share the earth with these types of people. Anyway, here is a Tampa Bay Times article, and this will get those people happy. This is a little bit of controversy. It says Clearwater City Council again thwarts Scientology land deal. Clearwater, the city council blocked another land deal involving the Church of Scientology on Wednesday night, adding uncertainty to its already tense relationship with downtown's largest landowner. Discussions began late last year over the city trading 3 properties it owns to the church for a lot east of downtown to be used for retail parking. The church wants 2 of the city's parcels for part of its proposed L. Ron Hubbard Hall downtown. But the city council voted 4-1 to postpone a decision indefinitely, with member Bob Cundiff in opposition. I'm not saying I'm not willing to do the deal at some point. I'm just not ready to do it today, council member Hoyt Hamilton said. At a work session Monday, engineering director Michael Quillen said the city might need each of the 3 parcels in the future. On Wednesday, city council members expressed concerns about parting with them. Scientology has been under contract since January to buy the vacant lot on Cleveland Street for $625,000. It is currently owned by a company managed by developer Guy Bonneville. Under terms of the proposed agreement, the church would then swap the property for the 3 city-owned parcels. A side comment here, Australia's property market is going through like an amazing boom and like bubble. It's incredible. So like in Melbourne, just a small little bit of land is like worth like $1 million. Like it's epic how big it is. So it's just interesting seeing how much cheaper property is in America. But it's just like, whoa, you really see a bubble with your own eyes. It's amazing watching it. Like it's epic how expensive property is in Melbourne in Australia at the moment, and it's interesting seeing what's going to happen to it. Anyway, like literally, like Australia is like one of the most expensive places to live, like totally in the world right now, like top 3, like more expensive than Singapore and stuff, more expensive than like London. Like if you just want to get a house, like sort of close to the city in Sydney or Melbourne, it just costs so much. It's outrageous. Anyway, this week's shift in attitude was the first sign of hesitation expressed by city officials since negotiations with the church began, according to attorney Katie Cole, who is representing Scientology in the deal. Cole said the church has a $75,000 non-refundable deposit tied to the deal. Until Monday, after months of negotiation and discussion with the city staff, the church was not aware of any concern that this would be anything other than surplus property, Cole said. Scientology spokesman Ben Shaw did not respond to a request for comment Wednesday. The land swap would involve the church trading the lot it has under contract, which is adjacent to the Nolan apartment complex on Cleveland Street, in exchange for 600 Franklin Street, which holds the former fire marshal building, a parcel on the northwest corner of S. Garden Avenue and Court Street, with 7 parking spaces and 9 parking spaces on Watterson Avenue that abut the Garden Avenue parking garage. Let's just quickly look up the word abut, huh? Abut. Be next to or have a common boundary with. Okay. Wednesday's vote comes on the heels of the city buying a 1.4-acre vacant lot on Pierce Street in April for $4.25 million from the Clearwater Marine Aquarium. The church wanted the property for its adjacent Oak Cove religious retreat and had upped its offer to the aquarium twice to $15 million before the city's purchase. City manager Bill Horn said the church stopped returning the city's emails and phone calls after the city council bought the aquarium land in April. The council had originally been scheduled to discuss the swap of the 3 unrelated city parcels last month, but the vote was postponed because of the lack of communication until Scientology officials met with Horn and the city attorney, Pam Atkin, on May 31. City council members on Wednesday did not set a date to revisit the land swap. The value of the city's 3 parcels totals $425,000, according to appraisals ordered by the city in February. The city also obtained an appraisal of Bonneville's vacant lot adjacent to the Nolan, which is valued at $600,000. Community Redevelopment Agency Director Seth Taylor said when the city inquired about buying the lot directly from Bonneville's company in September, Bonneville conveyed he would sell the lot to the city only for well above the assessed value. Bonneville declined to comment on the negotiations or whether he offered Scientology a better deal than the city. Bonneville is also the manager of his father-in-law's company, which owns the Tampa Bay Times Clearwater Bureau building at 1130 Cleveland Street. Hamilton, the council member, acknowledged the city would have been gaining higher valued property than it would have given up in the deal, but the city engineering staff said the Franklin Street property could be used for stormwater retention in the future, and Hamilton wasn't confident about giving up the 2 other properties that hold valued parking space. Yes. That was nice to read an article that wasn't full of fancy words and stuff that you had to clear. Like the last one I attempted to read in the podcast that I gave up on. All right, let's hear an independent Scientology win of the week. Here's a success story from my Russian PC again. I'm leaving the Russian accent in. We just completed an int handling that he is extremely happy about. About a year ago, with his limited training of Scientology, started giving seminars on the subject in Russia, and now it is 2 packed rooms. Whoa. Yeah, it seems like Scientology is really booming in Russia. Exciting. Here's a success story. I would like to thank you, Ingrid, for extraordinary progress we made going through grade 2. For last year, it was many positive changes in my life, such as my health is radically better, my inner world has become much bigger, my finances have improved, and my business is growing. For last intensive, it was new step change in my overall condition. My headache that bugged me for years have gone. My relationship with my extended family dramatically improved. I received new business proposals and I feel much happier than I was before, even though I thought I was pretty good before. And now is a new surprise of improvements. It looks like it's always a room for better life. Thank you to lovely Ingrid. She is the best auditor I've ever met. Her positive attitude easy and humorous environment while going through serious life issues makes big difference. Much love, sincerely, Alex. Great success story, Alex. If anyone has any independent Scientology wins, you can send them to me on my email, which is andynolch@hotmail.com. It's andynolch@hotmail.com. Or at my Facebook. You can just find me on Facebook. I'm Andy Nolch. All right, so send me your wins. You've got some good wins. And I want some funky ones, you know? I want some OT ones. Before we get into this interview with Silvia Kusada, let's hear a Scientology joke. All right, we're getting through this book now. Read out a few jokes in this Scientology joke book. Okay, get ready. Don't expect much. It's just one of those cheap joke books. All right. Two Scientologists were riding their bikes across a university campus when one said, "Where did you get such a great bike?" The second Scientologist said, "I was walking across town yesterday, minding my own business, when a beautiful woman rode up on this bike, threw it to the ground, took off all her clothes and said, 'Take what you want.'" The first Scientologist nodded approvingly and said, "Good choice. The clothes probably wouldn't have fit you anyway." Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious, yeah. Wow. We'll hit one. In this book, we'll hit one that's actually funny. I'm looking forward to it. It'll come. It's coming soon. All right, it's now time for an interview I did a few days ago now with Silvia Kusada. And it might be the best interview so far. I think it depends sort of on what you're interested in. But this one, we talk a little bit about the whole of life, the whole of the potential conspiracy of life. It's very down the rabbit hole. We talk about how we could be living in a matrix, living in the matrix, a computer video game world like controlled by SPs or something. It's quite epic. Sylvia studied a lot and loves knowledge and information, which is great to listen to. So, this isn't like a 2.5 hour interview. I think I've said all I need to say. So let's hear this interview with Silvia Kusada. Today's guest interview is with the beautiful Silvia Kusada. She is from Italy, has been a Scientologist since 1984, and has been an independent Scientologist since 2010. She has a blog about Scientology and her truth, is an OT7, a Class 5 auditor, and a St. Hill Special Briefing Course graduate, and is here with us for a bit of spiritual advancement. Silvia, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Great. It's good to speak with you. What are you doing with yourself these days?
Well, I continue my studies, and of course, I'm helping people when I feel I can be of help.
All right, great. And what sort of things are you studying?
I'm studying nowadays I'm studying Ouspensky, which is a great philosopher, and I'm studying Krishnamurti, which I find to be one of the very few philosophers in the material universe which talks about the statics and works with the statics.
So spirituality stuff?
Absolutely. No, we're talking about, advancing and gaining what in Scientology is called OT abilities.
Oh, well, great. So you're reading about it and stuff, and you're trying to achieve these abilities yourself?
Well, when I left Scientology, as everybody else, you think Scientology is it. Yeah, and they have only that. Is only in Scientology you get the answer. So I left one because I have seen too much, and and second because they wouldn't let me to advance on my spiritual in my auditing unless I would be a bookseller and I would buy stuff and participate to the IIS, which I was very much against. One thing that I have done before I actually left, I have done the staff to zero, that every single person in the staff should do, and I found out that basically probably 5% of the staff does it.
Staff status
And
0?
yeah.
No, but isn't staff status 0,
Sorry.
isn't staff status 0 just the orientation where you walk around the building and you become familiar with what's in the building?
No, it's a volume zero. It's the green volume zero.
Oh, okay, yeah,
There is
all right.
volume zero, and by policy, everyone before even going on the full act, they have to do that. And is an amazing course because it teach you how to apply the tech, how to all the basics of an organization, the true uh, aim of Scientology. And so when I did it, I said, man, how lucky are those staff? And I start asking people, oh, so did you do this? No, I didn't. Even in Milan, the senior CS at the time, he didn't do that. The senior CS is like how he can actually be a CS in the art. Senior CS and doesn't even have done this course. Of course, people are squirrel because I talked to another woman and she said, "Oh no, we don't need to do it nowadays because Miss Cabbage is telling us what we need to study of that course." I was like, "Oh, I see. So he's just directing you to the piece, to select a tech to guide you to think the way he's thinking,
Yeah.
but you don't have the full picture." So I did that. I was on the executive course number 7 at the time where I left. I think I did the volume 1 too. I did the 0 and the 1 executive organization, and I've been studying. I've been studying the green volume, of course, the 80 course, many other things, because it didn't make sense what the IAS was doing. It didn't make sense, that the money producing machine that I was dealing with. And I said, I want to see what LRH was saying about the IIS. And I found out that the IIS actually was part of the organization. It wasn't a different, org. It was the same organization. So you would donate to the IIS. When you would buy a course, some of the money would go to the IIS. And there, a few years later, you have a totally different organization where people donate, they go into debts, and they don't go anywhere. The money do not go to the staff. The money, and people do not get their auditing and they breach. So
Okay. So hold on. So you're saying that when the church sells services, some of that money does go towards the IAS. So the IAS get money from direct donations, and they also get money from like a percentage
no,
of the stuff sold.
no, I didn't say that. What I said is that originally, when LRH was alive, the IRS was part of the org board. It was not a separate entity. It was part of the org board. So at the time when the IS was part of the org board, then yes, you would buy your package, your course, your auditing, and part of the money would go to the IS.
Do you think LRH approved the IAS being set up like in the correct way in the 80s? Do you think he approved that?
On the org board,
yeah.
Yes, he did. But you see, when the IIS was on the org board, yes.
Yeah.
Because
so you think Miscavige basically got a hold of this IIS and turned into a huge separate entity for him to just get heaps of donations from?
Well, I think this is what happened, and this is from what I know that there was an emergency when the CIA went into the org and took the materials, And at the time there was Mary Sue alive and on the church, and she created these funds, but that was an emergency. That's it. That was to handle some stuff, and then it would have been out. They should not have been. Instead, as every time you set up a system to get money, it never finished because they like the money. So instead of raising the funds and then stopping that emergency, they continue and they made it officially. And when, after Mary Sue was actually threatened and kicked out of the church by Miscavige, they met in secrecy at the St. Hill. And there were very few people, and there Miscavige created in secrecy his IRS, which was a separate institution.
Okay, so
And
but before that, it was the IS was LIH approved and was like a sort of good idea and was just a temporary thing to help an immediate problem. And so then you're saying David Miscavige came along in St. Hill and secretly set up this new IIS.
okay, so no, you're missing a step. The IIS at the beginning was part of the org board, or the organization board of the the org.
Was it actually called
But
IAS?
yeah, it wasn't the IIS you thinking right now. It was a percent. LRH was very good with the finance. I did a finance course, and so he would allocate some money for emergency. Okay, so the IRS in the org board was basically a place where LRH would put a percentage in case of emergency. That's it. It wasn't nothing else than that. It was something that people didn't even know about because they didn't even have to know about it. It was just a finance point, like you put your reserves, if you apply the finance policy, you should have your reserves. Okay, so that was the first stage.
But did he even call it the IAS? So did it even have a name?
No, I think it was called I think it was called that way. And I remember he talks in the briefing course, that they have these memberships where he was giving he was collecting, I think he was selling this little pin, and basically it was $5-6 or pounds, because the purpose of the IIS was also to create subscribers. And so the most subscribers an organization has, the most power the organization have. So he started collecting these, which was symbolic. He talks in the briefing course a lot about this, and said, we need to create the membership, and he said is basically the money we collect covers the cost of the pin. It is not. We don't care about the money. We care about having a number of people that is giving power to the organization. So that was originally how it. Okay, so now then it became this section which would also collecting money for the emergency, but that wasn't like, oh, you have to donate to IIS. No, you have to buy your course, and then in the org they were putting aside a percentage of that for the IIS. It wasn't something that you as a parishioner would deal with or wouldn't even know about it. You understand? Okay, so now when there was the CIA, the big
Snow White.
I'm sorry?
Snow White, when that was happening.
I don't know. I don't remember what Snow White. I remember that Mary Sue got arrested, right?
Yeah, for Operation Snow White and all that sort of stuff.
Okay, so at that point, they needed money for the lawyer because, so they had this emergency, and they, as an emergency, they raise a little bit more money, but that's it. When the money where the target was met, that the rising of fund should have stopped. And there on, it was not authorized by LRH. It was not authorized by Mary Sue. You see, after that emergency, there was somebody else that actually made of that a continuous request of funds, and then it became a separate entity from the church. And then where, you basically, they don't really care if you go up the bridge or not. They just want you to donate money. So that's when the Church of Scientology really turned out to be a suppressive organization. In fact, nowadays is an implantation. It's truly an implantation. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
very interesting. So it seemed like you, by studying the green volumes, that is why you left the church, basically, because you woke up to the problems with administration.
No, I didn't leave the church for that reason. I have done all the study I could have done, and I always reported and brought knowledge report on the out policy, on the that on the thing I was seeing. I did study the green volume, the OSC volume, because I wanted to check. I was told that this is what LRH wanted, and then I said, look, it doesn't seem right to me, so I'm not going to give you a donation. I'm going to study. I'm going to find out what Aaron Abba really said about it. And the more I was studying, the more I was seeing that the management was corrupted. They were not, and the way, to actually create that corruption is Miscavige stopped people from studying. You see, nowadays the executive, they are not studying as LRH planned. They don't do they're supposed to do the executive court twice. They're supposed to do a special. There is a routine where that LRH set up so they would not alter the tech. So now there is, you keep people ignorant, and then you can control them because they don't know, they don't know much about it. Most people, they have no sense of truth. They have this desire to belong to a group. They have the desire to feel that they are spiritual, but they have no intention to give up anything to do that.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they're not willing to sacrifice things, because I think, in order to become spiritual and really find out the truth about life, you have to sacrifice. You have to make it your number one most important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And how many people did you see doing that? No, I mean, why people join Scientology? Because they want to be rich, because they want to do well with the family, because if you look at the success of these people that just finished the health or the superpower, what did you do? Oh, I managed to control somebody else. Is that really a success? No, that's not a success. What did you do for yourself? Did you understand? Did you have any win about the static? The static doesn't give a shit. Excuse me, my French, but the static doesn't care about controlling the material universe. The static, it doesn't even, it's a totally different way of living. Is actually acting and operating above the dichotomy, above the GPM, that above this dual universe. That's where the static is. But Scientology nowadays, and even what they want power, but at the same time, you see, they go out and they are all, oh, I did control, I did this and this, and then they go back in the church and they are slaves.
Yeah.
So you can't really be on OT. You understand?
Yeah, they become like a slave to the rat race. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
But so you were studying this admin stuff though, and you noticed that the church was doing things wrong, and so then you decided to leave the church. Is that what happened in 2010?
No, it's a little bit different. I have been, in order to complete my study, I had to travel because when you write the knowledge report, when you start dealing with RTC and you start telling them, hey, this is not right, this is not the policy, you see, of course, they don't like you
Yeah.
because you are really ruining their plan. And I was at the time I was in Flag, and I remember that I had a kid. It was really small. It was less than a year old. So between my kid, because between my family, I couldn't be there full time. And I had a lot of problem because they canceled the special schedule. So I was like, wait, what about the special schedule? I mean, the service is senior to everything, delivery. But they didn't like that, and at the time they were lying to people. So I did research. I talked to other people, and they sent me an ethic. I mean, they were like, "No, you can't do that. You can't talk to other people. You are the only one that protest." Which it wasn't true. So they even made up. I remember when I was on my I finished my class 5. I did the internship at Flag, which a series of outtech even there, which I thought was, it was. I mean, I have been witnesses so many outtech and
What tech?
suppressive.
Give me an example. Give me an example.
Uh, for example, a person on the internship is supposed to audit. They were sending you to actually in the calling units to recruit people. Otherwise, they were forbidding you for auditing.
So
So
they're
basically,
putting you on like a different post or something.
yeah, they were putting like because Flag was down. They always say at graduation we are, the our statistics are high, but in reality they didn't have PC. Not only, but when somebody had the idea to change the definition on FAN, I was at the Fort Harrison at the very time I was attesting my clear.
Mm.
And I remember that on the board, there were 97% of red tags. It was such a
Oh.
massive act because you were going to the examiner, you will sit down. And I said, look, I'm a little bit cold. They say, thank you, red tag. What? It was very suppressive. Imagine the money they made on repair. Imagine.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. So yeah, because it made each action take longer because it was harder for people to get FNs in session.
yeah, first they changed the definition of offense. So
What
the
year was that, by the way? What year? What year?
when did I attest my OT? I attest clear. I think it was 95. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah. So
remember
yeah,
95,
so
96.
yeah, so when around like GAT1 came out, that in my opinion was like the biggest ruining of the tech. Like it was like it was amazingly it's really interesting how they managed to get away with it. Like obviously a lot of people were smart and left, but it's just like wow, how can you do that? Like anyone who was bright must have been like this is crap, what's going on? And you know what's funny as well? This is all after David Miscavige had his 1993 event where he saved the church from the IRS and everything. So Miscavige has always been in power like since the 80s, but it wasn't like he was this huge, big like dictator until after 1993 in that event. So like once he's attained 100% control and is officially the dictator, that's when all this other crap can just come out because he can get away with doing whatever he wants.
Well, and if you do some research, you find out that one of the right hand of LRH was actually an alcoholic. Pat, I don't remember his
Pat,
name, but
yeah,
there
what was
is
his
a
name?
video.
Pat Broker.
Pat
Pat
what?
Broker. Was his name Pat
Yeah,
Broker?
yeah. I think there is a video of him on the YouTube on the New Year's Eve when he said, "We have all the tech." Anyway, this guy was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
He was so you know when I left, I think it was 2011, and I came back, or before that, before I went back to Italy. I think was about 2010 when I met some of the people that were actually were together with Ron, and they told me story. I mean, LRH was, taking some Santa psycho drug, LRH made a big mistake because he violated his own tech. I mean, he had science of survival is an amazing technology to understand the physical universe. And what he did, he actually disconnected from his own wife, which was that, it was his wife. He cared about Scientology. He cared about everything, and he kept next to him those people that were really abusive to him.
Yeah.
He
Yeah. Well,
got really, really sick.
yeah, he was getting
Yeah,
old, and senile and all that sort of stuff. But the thing I argued though with Hubbard and the way he lived his life was that he didn't give a shit about even his own spiritual advancement or his own health. All he cared about was getting the church set up and saving the planet. So he was willing to just do anything wild, anything crazy, just anything that got the church started and strong and alive. And I mean, things got wild and that, but he ended up pulling it off. Like, he set a postulate. I don't know. It's like someone saying, "I want to become next singer, next successful singer in the world," and they just do anything crazy, anything that's
yeah.
unhealthy, anything to get there and achieve being a singer. And you know what? He pulled it off. He created Scientology, it became a religion, and now it's here. So that's what I think.
Well, you have to also to consider something that LRH, he was a powerful person that you can't, I mean, nobody can deny that. He had charisma, he knew about hypnosis, and he used it. He says, "Oh, hypnosis is so bad," but he used it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
He
before
talked about
1950. Yeah, before 1950, like he knew how to hypnotize people and stuff. And so, like he said, the hypnotists are one-ones, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them are. But um, anyway, that's just something I'd mention as well. Like, I mean, because some people are like, "Oh, you shouldn't experiment with things and try this or try that," and it's like, hey, the master Hubbard, he tried everything to learn everything so that then he knew everything and he read everything. So I don't like this idea of these church members, and the independents do this as well, in that they just have tunnel vision and are just like, it's just Scientology and that's it. And it's like, no, you need like experience in everything,
yes,
You
yeah, but
need to, like,
oh,
now I can actually read L. Ron Hubbard and start understanding all the things he talks about, because I've read all these other things and I've seen other viewpoints, and now I get how he came up with his stuff. You know what I mean? But when you just study Scientology, you just, I think you're more switched on to the truth, but you're never going to really get free and work out what's going on, I think.
yeah, the things with Scientology that you actually get brainwashed, and I was part of it. It took me years and years to just get rid of all these, false data. But one of the course I've done was the data series. I have done that. And that was part of finding out. And I tell you, LRH was all, telling you, go and see and make your mind. You don't believe anything I tell you unless it's true for you. That was the original. That is the data series. That is you should see note on. Did you ever read the notes on the lectures, the
The
book?
notes at the bottom or something, or
No, notes on the lectures.
not
That's
like Ned for OTs, the lectures for them.
No, it's a book called Notes on the Lecture.
No, I don't know.
Miscavige removed it from the church because, of course, it's not what he likes to have, But it just tells you about respecting the dynamics, and it is a very It's a very beautiful book and very pro survival. And of course, it was removed by Miscavige from the library. So you are not allowed to have it or to read it any longer. And LRH in the briefing course mentioned this book as being the basics. So
What does it have in it? What information does this book have in it?
Well, it tells about how important is the dynamics, the second dynamics. It tells you a bunch of things that nowadays they don't want you to apply. The thermodynamic aberration, the tech, it tells you what happened when there is an emergency. Yeah, you violate a policy because it's an emergency. You are allowed to do that. But after that, you have to audit the group because every time you create an arbitrary, you create an anger. So it was a full tech how to clear the group. But nowadays, what the technology is doing is actually creating a bank, is beefing up a big bank. So that's why people are not, but how you can even think that you are not allowed to have your own reality or to find out things. The data series is completely wiped out. Okay, I apply the data series on everything but Scientology. What? You see, it doesn't make sense. And so imagine a person, unless a person really, really goes for the truth, it can't be OT. It can't. So I was about to tell you something I forgot. But I was telling you that it takes years and years when you come out of the church to just get rid of all these, psychological abuse. You feel guilty for auditing yourself. I mean, man, I was a class 5, a scientist special briefing or graduate. I have made clears. I have brought people to health, and yet I left the church and I felt guilty for touching the cans. And it was only after I met Marty Rapto, I can't pronounce his name. Yeah, exactly. Okay, and he said, "Why you can't audit yourself?" And I say, "Man, that's true. Why not? I have a technology. I am a good auditor. Wow, I go for it." And Rage would be happy because he always said any auditing is better than no auditing. I audit at the time. I gave myself the introspection down, fantastic stuff. Man, I'm so glad I did it at the time. And then and then I started slowly to search where LRH found this information. The star changing stop from the objective. He took it from a guy called Gurdjieff. He was an incredible philosopher. And, LRH did a lot of study after the war when he got hurt. He spent a year in the library studying and researching on religions. So he knew a lot of those things. Gurdjieff was this guy that also used a very similar personality of LRH. Very strong, very smart, powerful. He was also, how you say,
OT.
No, he was OT. We call it OT. OT for our understanding are powerful people that can make things happen. But that's not a real OT. No, he was hypnotizing people like LRH. LRH was hypnotizing people. He knew how to punish because I listened to story with people who were on the ship. I have met many people that really knew LRH. Anyway. So this Gurdjieff, it was the first one to create the objective. And, I actually read the comments. It was exactly the same. The things that Gurdjieff was there 15 years before LRH.
Interesting. So what was this guy creating start change stop on object for? Was he like was he some writer and he was like, hey, look, if you make people move an object, it makes them leave their body or something like that? Is that what he was talking?
Andy, you can't say that he had a old philosophy. He was, he was a really good guy. He has his own. He's a philosophy all himself. You can't just say it in 2 words. But he was very spiritual. He was talking, just to tell you, I mean, I'm not talking about rage, I'm talking about Gojep, and he tells you there are different high, there are different beings living in one being. He was talking about
Mm.
those things. Krishnamurti talks about these things. Castaneda talks about these
Yeah, I know.
things.
Yeah, Jesus talks about like
He was talking about all these things, and Gorgev actually tells you and explains you how you handle those balance or different being, when they approach you, and so you actually find out that uh, Scientology is very, very limited. And I'm sorry, I know that people call me squirrel. Like, yeah, they can call me whatever they want. I don't care, because I am out to find my truth. And I went beyond that. I found actually a path that bring me to work with the static.
yeah,
So, and that is that's why you ask me if I audit anyone. I refuse to audit people that come to me, and I have many. They come to me and say, oh, I want to make money, I want to be more successful, more powerful. And I say, look, I'm not the right person. I'm here if you really want to know the truth. Yes, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna bring you up to where you are gonna really break free from the material universe, kind of implanted mind. But everything else, just you find 3,000 auditors that are happy to. I don't work for money.
mm.
You understand? I mean, I'm not motivated by never been. But so if you tell me I audit, I have few people I work with. There are not many that they can even have a grasp of what is a really a static is. Most people like the material universe. They like the experience. They like
Mm.
to believe, this is it. So, but I can tell you one thing. It took me now 2009. I actually started 2010. Now 7 years, and still, I still working on sometimes just breaking all these agreement I have made with Scientology, and it's a constant work. In one way, I feel really blessed because having done all the briefing course and having studying every single piece of technology that LRH have written, it made me, I have an advantage because when I study other philosophy, I recognize things. And it gives me a much wider look on this, of these Scientology. Castaneda, I read Castaneda. Castaneda is amazing because he actually talks about the genetic entity, like LRH never did. He mentioned in passing the genetic entity, but you don't know what the genetic entity is.
Mm. Yeah,
So Castaneda talks about that.
yeah. I
Um,
view it. I noticed the two terminal universe idea just is very common. And so when it comes to just anything, so when it comes to, I guess, spirituality and philosophy and all that, if you're just doing Scientology, as soon as you branch off and spend some time studying some other type of philosophy or trying some other spiritual advancement, you really boom as a person because you're suddenly doing a two terminal thing where you get ideas from a different viewpoint, and you just it makes you into much more of a Scientologist, I think, because you can understand the ideas and all this sort of stuff. So it doesn't violate. I don't think it violates KSW at all. I think it makes you stick to Scientology more, and this is what I think, and do it more properly. And then there's a whole world of other things. There's like Avatar, and there's yoga, and there's just so many other things that have great information in this guy you're talking about. And it's like once you just go, like, I mean, I know it's more than two terminals because I'm getting into a lot of other different things, but it's something to do with the two terminal thing, and it just boosts you up. And also, like, it takes years to recover from like the sort of brainwashing of the church. But it's not like I dislike the church that much, because I mean I'm recovering from the school system brainwashing, and me and a friend who were really bright in high school. It's taken us like 10 years to recover from the brainwashing of the school system, and it because the school
You
system
talking
hides.
about, I'm sorry, you talking about a regular school or Scientology
No,
school?
regular school. It's like the regular
Regular
school
school.
system. The
Yeah.
whole world brainwashes an individual. So this is this is normal that the church would fall into a condition of like brainwashing people, because it just happens on earth to all institutions and organizations. They get corrupted by SPs. So it's just interesting. I'm just because some people might be listening to this who's an average Joe and is thinking, "Oh, look at those Scientologists who got brainwashed by a church." Meanwhile, they have no idea that they're full blown brainwashed themselves, and they
Absolutely.
have no idea.
Absolutely.
Brainwashing is just like you've had all this information hidden from you, and all this other information like forced onto you, so you're obsessed with it and you think a certain way. And the school system, for example, it literally doesn't even teach you Austrian economics and like libertarian economic ideas and stuff. It teaches you these more left wing ideas and stuff, and I'm telling you, it's so corrupt. And my friend who's a tutor who knows about the school system says it's getting more and more brainwashing, more and more corrupt, in that you'll be reading a textbook about physics and suddenly you'll start talking about global warming as an example. And it's like physics doesn't really have anything to do with global warming. It's not geography class. But like time and time again, they're getting more things, more brainwashing in other ways, and just it totally creates a person that's like shaped, and it's crazy. Anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you, and I think personally that the world right now is going down, but it's not like LRH says. It's normal. It's normal because it's the physical universe. It goes up and down. It's just So it's gonna go down, destroy, and get. But this is the physical universe. This is the duality. I'm not very very interested on this. If you look, do you know what a GPM is, right?
Yeah.
God of the mass. Okay. Ron talks about the GPM. Now you look, there are so many people interested in spirituality, but spiritual, not spiritual is a GPM. You can spend all your life to be spiritual and you just working on a material, on a very messed and it could be a very messed purpose, as long as it belongs to your mind and is thinking with the two poles, is material.
So you're
So
saying you're saying if you're obsessed with avoiding the physical universe and becoming spiritual, that's like creating like a GPM, and it keeps you stuck in the physical universe or something like
there
that.
there are two poles, spiritual and non spiritual. That's a GPM. There are the two opposite, right?
Mm.
They both material. It's not
Mm.
because I say, oh, I meditate, that I am spiritual. There are different degrees, but the static, it works outside the two poles.
Mm.
So, and that is not something you understand with the mind. This little machine that they give you when you get into these illusions. So you can understand with your mind the physical universe because it belongs to the physical universe. But there is another mind, which is the spiritual mind, that very few people have awakened, that gets you to have a feeling of what a static could be. You can't understand it because you can't, because it doesn't belong. It's like it doesn't belong to the two poles. The static is above that. So, but when you understand that, like Krishnamurti says, you view life as as a witness and not as the doer. And that's also LRH. I see this info, like when you are exterior and you see things from far away. You are not the body. You are not the. LRH used to say, thinking is aberration. That's what
Mm.
what LRH actually. This is LRH. I was actually looking because I was shown that that data from Frank McCall was one of the people on the ship with Teleregia Class 9. We were very good friends. And he showed the data. You think it, do not think it's aberration. And at the time it didn't make sense to me, but now I understand what he meant. It was amazing. So you have to realize that when people, in the name of the spirituality of the soul, people have killed, have fought, but they have played a game in the mass universe. If you're outside of the mass universe, you have no need to play a game. You can look like you look a movie, but you are not playing the game, because there is not a game. It's a game for a body, but not for a spirit.
Yeah,
Anyway,
so some people might get, yeah, because just in case people don't know what a goal problems mass is, so you set up a goal, and then you're trying to achieve it, right? And you're really determined to achieve it, and then you hit a problem, because of course they happen, and then you get mass from it, and you actually just key yourself in. And so a lot of people, I reckon, they get into well, yeah, someone can do that with spirituality. They can be like, I want to become spiritual, and they set up this goal and they work real hard at it, and they end up getting more keyed in. But it happens, I think, with people in the church, because they get into Scientology, and then they have a win, and they're better, but then they suddenly take on some heavy goals. So maybe they especially because the church is expensive, they might want to be like a real successful entrepreneur, and they're working hardcore at that, and then it starts keying them in. And I remember a friend that was involved with the church went clear in like 2014 or something like that. And
yeah.
I reckon he totally went clear. Like it seemed like he went clear. His body changed. He did all the right auditing. He did all the survival rundown and many hours, and went through the grades and spent a while on net, I think. So he looked like he was a good product, and he was a nice guy. But then I think a few months after he'd gone clear, I remember talking to him on the phone, and he was sort of angry about something, and he was busy with work. And so I can tell he'd set this goal to make heaps of money, right? And I thought, no, I mean, this guy's clear, he's a great product and stuff. And he was exhibiting annoyance and stuff. But it was, I just reckon it was coming from the fact that he was burning himself out, working really hard, trying to get rich.
Yeah, but also because the clear, the definition of clear, you have to realize that when you're dealing with the mass universe, you are in a system where it's made of energy, so you can't expect that he's always happy. That's actually a really unreasonable goal. When you tell people, oh, if you're not happy, something is wrong with you. No, this is how the universe works, and the universe has different type of energy.
What do you
And
mean?
I mean that if you see, going back to the GPM, when you go down from being totally spiritual and you fighting people that are not spiritual, and you go down, 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 and at the bottom there is non-spiritual, and at the bottom of the non-spiritual there is spiritual. So the opposite, they actually are attached together. When
Sorry,
you
hold
go
on,
to
hold
the
on. Sorry, so can you say that again? Say that again.
when you go to the opposites, they actually connect there. It's like a circle.
Yeah, I've noticed
So
that,
you
yeah.
extreme pain, and then you enter into happiness. They are just connected. You can't think about happiness without thinking of pain, right?
Yeah, well, it's like that time where someone gets really, really happy and they start crying, and then I noticed like the happy crying, and I thought, hold on, I don't really think that's happy. That's like almost, I don't know, because like, yeah, because it's like to be really happy, you have to realize that there's sadness. I don't know. There's something weird about someone crying when they're really happy. I
Yeah.
thought there's something weird about that.
But also, when you achieve this big success, look what happened. You start being scared to losing it, and you lose it at the exact moment when you are, you, oh my god, I got all this, and then you start having fear of losing it.
Mm.
When LRH was the pleasure moment, they actually contain a lot of this emotion.
Yeah, it's
And
interesting.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So you have to understand that in this universe, there is like two opposite. The two opposite, they attract themselves, but they part of each other. When you work to achieve extreme happiness, you might have some happiness, but in this universe, the energy flows, and there is peace energy and there is honor energy, and so it doesn't, nothing get transformed, it just changes. So when you work through life, you can't expect that all your life you're gonna be happy. No, first your body is gonna change, you're gonna get aches, you're gonna lose a friend. It's part of life. So it's really unreasonable to punish people because they get sick. They get sick because they get sick. All these self-auditing that the church puts on you, people that are dying. I have counseled people that are dying, OTs, and they feel like so bad because they have cancer. And it's like, look, the genetic entity is not you. The genetic entity has his own track. It doesn't have anything to do with you if your body has cancer.
Yeah, and then they also, speaking of the cancer thing, they don't even realize like how much they don't really. Not many people are very had it up on how epic the stuff that the SPs are doing that's giving people cancer and all this sort of stuff. And it's like,
Yeah,
I mean, the food, the chemicals, even vaccines apparently, and just like all this crap
yeah.
it's causing. So it's like, no one should feel guilty, because on Earth it is literally hell.
Yeah, Earth is literally health. It's true what you said, and I cannot agree more with you. The cancer is actually produced, but
Mm.
not only the cancer, mental illnesses. And can you imagine actually the Church of Scientology makes you guilty for being sick? What? On the top of everything, if you there are some very nice lecture of LRH where he actually said, well, there is a lot of drama about around having a body. He said, there are some very OT people in India that when they are tired of living, they just go on the river of the Ganges and they just drop the body. And there is no dramatization with that. It's that you change, a material, an ID card. But all this system is made so you are scared, you protecting the body. Are you familiar with the tone scale?
Yeah,
Okay, where is protecting body?
that's
Is
really
very
low.
is very far from the OT, from the static, very,
Mm.
very far, and that's where everybody is acting, and where the church is acting. Show me your body can produce money. I have to produce mass to show you I am OT. Then
Yeah,
I
yeah,
so all these you have to collect all the commendation. What? That's so material, that's so body. So my body I need to become my body to be accepted. It's so you're not your body,
mm.
Andy. I'm sorry, but some people are kind of get used to it because they call you with that name, but you're not your body. You can, and LRH talks about that in many times. It's like, hey, you lose this body, you get another one, no big deal. It's just, if you like to have a body, if you're tired to have a body, you don't even have to get one anymore. So, but most of people in Scientology, and most of people that leave Scientology, that were in Scientology because they felt they had, oh, I like the group, I like the feeling of being powerful. They leave as a body. They don't really want to know that they are not the body. They don't want to know that. So this going back to by auditing, I'm not wasting my time for people that they just want to be, they are in prison and they want to stay in prison.
Mm.
There is a lot of work to do.
I know.
They,
I noticed with the church that that it's when you get into it in the first year, it's cool because you're like, oh, this new information, this exciting thing and stuff, and you get the benefit. But then after the first year, you suddenly start becoming scared of the church, or you start
yeah,
getting more control from the church, and so then the first year's great, but then the fourth year, you're like, you're no longer having fun. You know what I mean? And you're more like scared about, getting sick, or you're just sort of, you just got this whole sudden scaredness that comes in.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And not only, like you said, which I really agree with you, is not only the church, is a system. A system, no matter where you go, the school, there are groups like that. I mean, it's a continue, pressure on people, and everything is rigged, so their consciousness is actually limited, so they don't wake up.
Yeah, yeah, and
Drugs.
and the symptom of brainwashing is that you don't know you're brainwashed. You know what I mean? That's the thing. You
Yeah.
don't know until you come out of it. That's what's interesting when you get audited and you come up the tone scale and you start moving out of the tone that you were previously in, like maybe you were in fear, and you start moving out of that into like anger, and you start realizing you were fearful before. And it's really interesting because you start thinking, oh, I've got fear now all of a sudden. Oh, I've got fear. This is bad. I'm not getting better. And you're like, hold on. No, you're actually starting to move out of fear and then looking at times when you do have some fear and you're like, wow. So it's a huge advancement. Anyway.
Yes, absolutely. There is one thing that I would like to tell you, because I remember finding it on the briefing course. Actually, that when in Scientology, when you drink a glass of wine, they don't audit you anymore, right? And they make you really guilty. Oh yeah, okay, it's bullshit. You actually can drink a glass of wine and get auditing by LRH. LRH, the only thing LRH is asking is the next session you go over and you check that you really got the AP, the end phenomenon, but it's not a reason or an excuse not to audit. The same thing if you taking painkiller because you have a situation. Oh, that you're not. No, you see the church right now is going. They don't want to audit people. They don't want. So there is always a reason why you cannot get auditing, or you get an auditing that you don't want. So
Yeah. It's funny, yeah.
so it really, I mean, when the what I'm doing, I don't know. I'm sorry. I did something on my screen. So when I did something on my screen, I don't know. Okay,
It looks fine from
but
here.
okay, good. So when you're doing when you're doing your session, uh, right now, if you really want to advance, you are there paying $600 for an hour, and you have to audit yourself, because the auditor is not there for you. Is there because they ask him to do something with you, and you're like, man, this is not is really really bad. But outside too. So I think I have seen few people, and there are people outside that they have left and they never stopped searching for truth. Never. I met a woman that left. She was 27. She studied a meter by herself. She went through all the OT levels, and she was audited on OT7. And I tell you, this woman, I met her. She was able to tell you what the meter was doing without looking at the meter. She had incredible perception. That was more OT than any OT I met in the church. And she self-audited to all the bridge. But she was also a very powerful woman. Not
Wow.
everybody can do that.
So
Yeah.
you sort of advocate a bit of squirreling in that, like, you self-audit. You're okay with people doing that?
I'm okay with people doing everything it takes to continue their spiritual progress. I'm not okay with people that take drugs. No, I think people that get drunk and take drugs, they actually becoming more solid, even if they think they are understand. Yeah, but I have done. I am I audit drugs and all this, and I have experience with that. And although I promote Castaneda because I think Castaneda is brilliant and you can learn a lot, um, himself, he tells people do not take drugs because that is not going to help you.
Yeah.
So I'm against drugs. I'm against alcohol. If you really want to become spiritual, I mean, if you really want to see, because you have to learn to see without using your eyes. Telepathy, be able to know what somebody thinking, be able to talk to somebody without talking to a distance, heal people to a distance, perceive other dimension of the universe. You can do all this, but you need to be awake.
Are you associated with any independent Scientology groups?
I have a lot of friends in Scientology. Even if we walk different paths,
Mm.
but I have a lot of friends, and I admire many of them.
So you
And
did most
actually,
of your bridge in the church, and then after you did some self-auditing?
when I left the church, but I was a I was OT7 already.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, and I am a class 6,
Did you
so I'm
complete your?
not.
Okay, sorry for cutting off, but did you complete solo knots?
I complete over notes. I couldn't attest it because I wasn't selling books and I wasn't, doing whatever the church wanted to do me to do. I refused to do it,
Oh, they wouldn't let
and
you attest.
I didn't attest because I was not let to finish unless I would selling books and do other things that were arbitrary, and I refused. I didn't do donation to the IS. They would not let me attest.
Oh, so you noticed the admin problems in the church, right? And so that has nothing to do with your OT7, and they didn't let you attest to OT7
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
because they were
that's
trying to
why I
force you. They
couldn't.
were trying to force you to do these other things so that then you could get your certificate for OT7.
Yeah, they don't let you even no, you are authentic. You don't know, are against the IRS. You are against this and there. You fight for the part-time, the special schedule.
Mm.
I was fighting. The more I was studying, the more I was see things that were wrong, something. So, and the MA, she told me, oh, she told a friend of mine when I got declared finally. She said, "Oh, we knew she was a bad apple since the
Mm.
beginning. She was writing. I was blackmail. Is my MA is like, that's not good to write so many QRs. Uh, so what do you do? You know that you're a danger.
Yeah,
People knew.
if you're a bright cookie, and it's also the same. Yeah, it's like the same in the real world. If you're a bright cookie when it comes to being a lawyer or a doctor or whatever. Like I know a guy who caught on to some sort of pedophile thing that was going on, and he started suing someone who was a pedophile or something like that. And what they did was the people who were high up just cancelled his law license and said he was insane. Like they sent him to one of their psychs, and of course their psych concluded he was insane. Um, and and he was really like, whoa, because I didn't think he realized how corrupt things were in the world. He was like, whoa, I was just trying to do a good thing by exposing pedophilia. Um, but then he realized, why did they get me so angry, or why did they fight me so much if I was just exposing this one person? And he investigated it further, and he found out that there was a huge pedophile thing going on, a really, really big thing.
Yeah,
And so they were shutting him up before anything else came out or before anything got bigger. So it's kind of like, yeah, like when you chop down a little tree that's only a tiny bit big because you want to stop it growing huge. So he was switched on because he saw their overreaction to what
yeah,
he was exposing. It was like, why were they such an extreme reaction? He saw that there was like an outpoint. It was like, there was something wrong here. Let's keep on investigating. It's kind of like when you catch someone, I don't know, doing something slightly wrong, and then they get really emotional and go blah blah blah, and you're like, whoa, what's
yeah,
that person trying to cover up?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I had a friend, a very good friend of mine. He was actually at the Celebrity Center. One day he called me and he was devastated. He said, there was this guy doing a liability condition, a lower condition, and I read his condition. He actually was sleeping with his daughter. And he said, man, that's actually a crime. It's pedophile. He was actually raping his own daughter.
Mm.
And the church was covering up because he was a celebrity. So
Oh, no way. No way it was a celebrity, was it?
Yeah. Let's see. I heard other story. People at Celebrity Center, they're killing themselves. But everything gets covered up.
Oh,
So
was he, what can you say who he was?
no, I can't. I'm sorry. I can't. He's a friend of mine, and at the end, he ended up leaving too. But no, I can't say
No, can you say who
unless
the
he.
celebrity was?
No, I can't. Are you kidding? No, but I just tell you, this is mentioned just to say that there are things happening in the church that are covered up. They attempted the abortion stuff. They came up
Yeah.
at the open. Sooner or
But you're
later,
not
those things
not
are
friends
coming.
with the pedophile, are you?
No, no,
Okay.
I didn't know the guy personally. His
Okay.
friend just told me because he was really devastated. He was very keyed in. It was like, I can't believe this is happening. This is, it's like, hey, Andy, when you really want to know things, when you really, really want to know and you don't have fear of knowing things come to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, I mean, when I was auditing, I actually audit stuff when I was a flag because I did my internship at flag. I audit stuff. I came one time. I opened the folder of this person. There was something RTC confidential, and it was in front of me, and I started reading. I started reading. Out policy. That there was the CSA, but this is out policy, and they say we don't care, just do it. So this is flag.
Mm.
You
Yeah.
so I would those things are other things that I can't say, but you just things come to you, and it's like, yeah, okay. But at one point you realize, when I left Scientology, I remember I had a relationship with this guy. He was a pilot, and they consider him a celebrity, and he strangled me. He was a computer psychotic, totally. That he strangled me, and the church blackmailed me and say, if you say anything, we actually remove your certificate. That's what you
Mm.
asked me why I left, because I said, this organization is protecting criminal. What
Mm.
kind of where I am? Like, this is not where I want to be.
Well, I mean,
And
it's
they
because he has money, doesn't he? Because anyone with money, they just
doesn't have
they don't
money,
care.
but he has a lot of com lines. He doesn't have that
Ah,
much
okay.
money, but
All right.
he's a celebrity,
Yeah.
and he's a real psychotic. But the church protects him because he's a pilot for very important people. He's a private pilot for very important people. I even wrote a blog on him, so the QR on this guy are on the net. But that was the reason. I have seen things that I have seen things that by that time that I could not. And I say, it might be my freedom, my spiritual freedom, Scientology, but this is not something I'm willing to be part of,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Hold on. I just got to cut in. Sorry. And
yeah.
also, this sort of stuff happens with the BBC. Like, they'll catch like someone who's a presenter on the BBC who's like a pedophile, and they'll protect it. And
Oh yeah.
so, because the Scientology haters just piss me off so much because they're such idiots. They just focus on just the bad aspects of the church, and they ignore all the other corruption in the world, and they make out as if the normal world isn't corrupt and is all nice. And it's just like, dude, like if you did a podcast called "Surviving the School System" or "Surviving the BBC," you could or "Surviving," HSBC Bank or whatever, you could come up with stories and interviews with people of like heaps of corruption and absolutely crazy shit going on, you know? And,
Oh yeah.
it's just
Andy. Yeah.
Scientology is easy to pick on because it's like, it's like popular to pick on it or whatever, and the media like to pick on religion and spirituality and stuff because whoever pays for ads on the news is like drug companies and shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Scientology is a, is a trend right now. So everybody, but many organizations they do the same thing regularly. I mean, the Catholic Church, the school, look what is doing the pharmaceutical system. I mean, look what they doing, at the hospital. Really, my neighbor is being killed, is being killed. They were giving, he was suffering of heart failure, and they were giving him salty food at the hospital. You tell me why they were trying to keep him alive in one way, because it's 20,000 a day that they make money out of him, and the other side they were killing him. They were keeping him sick. So you see, this is everywhere. It's not only Scientology. You are right, but at this point, you have to be aware that there are many lies. There are. That's why the school system is actually, like you said, is keeping people ignorant.
Yep.
Instead of educating them to wake up. Is this true? How I can find out it's true? Is false?
Like they don't teach them how to do stuff practical, like how to do your taxes or other things. They just teach you like silly shit, and they don't even teach it well. Like they teach it badly. And also stuff like I think it was Tori Christman or something.
Yeah.
I think I heard her talking about Wikipedia and how Wikipedia was saying something about the church, how they don't like the church because the church was trying to edit the Wikipedia pages and stuff. And it's just like, well, yeah, the church was doing it, but do you realize that there's so many other people that are editing the Wikipedia pages and keeping out information out of them, and they're doing it successfully and they're extremely well funded, and you never find out about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Whereas the church, the reason why we find out about stuff that the church does is because it's not as well funded, it's not as big. And it's kind of corrupted, so it does it in a shit way, and people find out about it. But there's successful intelligence ops going on that you don't know about because they're doing it successfully. They're doing them successfully. OSA are doing them shitly, so you find out about them. OSA's good because you actually know who it is because they're such idiots.
You know what the things with the Church of Scientology is that they are really stupid in many ways, because they actually abuse their own people, the key people. I mean, how stupid you can be, so they pissing off those powerful people that are working for them. And do you really think that those people, they go out and they leave the church alone? No, they go out and they devoted their life to fight the church. So they should be a little bit smarter. You don't do that. I mean, you don't just abuse the people that they have been helping you. They know your secrets, and they do that all the time, even with celebrities. People get tired of it. So that's why that there is so much rumor and things on the church, because they continuously attack their own people. Do you really think many of the people that are outside attacking the church, they really care about spiritual freedom? They don't give a shit about spiritual freedom. They just want revenge. Yeah, they have been abused and they want revenge.
Yeah, and I think as well, you got to understand, you got to just be smart when you do these sorts of things, like intelligence operations, for example. If you're going to do an attack on someone, right? If you do the attack shittly and in a small way, they become aware of an enemy and it sparks them up and they fight back, and it actually improves them. So they make, like if they're Chris Shelton, for example, they'll make a better YouTube channel, they'll make better videos, and it inspires them to make more things exposing the corruption of the church. So you either do no attack at all, or if you're going to do attack, you definitely do it big and you do it successfully and you completely shut down the person. You know what I mean? You don't just punch them in the face. You actually shoot them so they die. You know what I mean? So Otherwise, you're
Yes.
just completely stupid. So what the church had done and OSA has done for years, they've been really crap with their attacks, and they've just been feeding their enemies and growing them bigger and bigger and bigger by not actually giving them proper attacks and proper blows and properly taking them out.
Yeah,
Stupid, you know.
absolutely.
I'm not
I
saying
mean,
I'm
look,
not saying you should like take them out, but I'm saying if you're gonna do these dodgy things, do them well,
yeah,
like who the actual bad guys who are running the world do them well, you know, and actually take out your enemies. Like literally, um, like when it comes to apparently there's lots of holistic health people and naturopaths and all that sort of stuff to just get assassinated. So the drug companies or whatever, whoever doing them, they just assassinate them and they just end it. And then they keep their monopolies going for years and years and years, and people don't find out about it.
yes,
Anyway,
yeah.
yeah, it's fun. It's wild what's going on. It's a fun game when I think you caught on to what's going on a bit.
Yeah, you said the rise is a game, and
Yeah,
you know, at one point I told you it's not something I'm very interested in because it's a game. I work with the static. And at one point you realize that, you know, either you work with the static or you work with the game. And I am not very much interested with the game.
mm. Out of curiosity, what was the IAS like in Italy when you're involved? I'm just interested. Was it just raging a lot? And...
Well, I haven't done much in Italy. But I remember one time I went there and they locked the door of the theater and they say we don't raise this money, nobody gets out. And I felt like, man, this is uh, yeah, I felt was very surprising. I didn't do much in Italy, so I was so new, you know. And Scientology, you have to admit that the technology is pretty good. I mean, if you apply the technology, you feel good, you feel better, you feel more powerful. And so at the beginning, you like, man, I really want this. I really want that thing. What you don't know, you can get that everywhere. You can get them. Actually, you get it more outside the church than in the Church of Scientology.
Mm.
So, but not people that are inside, I don't know. So you hold on, to life, to that, because you really want to the change, and I wish people would know that they actually could do Scientology in freedom if they really want to do Scientology,
Yeah,
because
and there's and all the changes in the books and all that sort of stuff. Like I spotted, and I wrote this up to RDC years ago. It was I was reading Dianetics' book, and I think the sentence made the paragraph made sense or something, but if you use their definition that they were giving at the back of the book, it confused the whole paragraph. So I was looking at it going, this is a mistake. Like their definition is just fucked up. This me trying to understand this sentence or whatever. And anyway, so I wrote it to RTC, and months later, like you just get some sort of act, and they're not going to do anything about it because their new books are apparently the most fancy, most accurate books ever. But anyway, there's many moments when you're in a church where you get confused by things and stuff because they've changed things, you know?
Yeah, but they also create fear on you, because if you get confused, you're gonna get checked out, and you're gonna get to the work clearer, and you're gonna, oh my God, and then you're gonna, so people actually get so fearful about showing that they're confused, and sometimes they don't even say anything. Yeah, but one of the things I was doing on the briefing course, I listened to about 600 tapes. So the funny thing is that sometimes the tape was shorter than the transcript, and it's like, how that can be? If the tape is a tape, how? And I studied the original, I studied in English, so how it can be that the transcript is longer than the tape? How they cut the tape? They must have altered the tape. They took off Mary Sue name everywhere. You know,
Mm.
they just change. They change the real stuff. So I wrote about that many times. That's why at the end people don't want you there anymore, because you look, you see things, you point it out. They don't want you to talk to other people. They don't want to bring up things. So, you know,
And
um,
and do you reckon this might be why they stopped delivering the Sane Hill Special Briefing course?
they stopped.
Yeah, didn't the church stop? I'm pretty sure they're not delivering it. The church isn't delivering it.
Oh my God, I didn't know that. I haven't been on following very much lately. I remember I have a very good friend of mine, she's a fantastic auditor in Los Angeles. She's a class 8, and I remember at the time where she was doing class 8, they kicked them out. They closed the classroom for a while, and she was very upset. It's like, what? Why? At the time, OT3 could have been auditing co-audit. It could have been done in co-audit OT3.
Wow.
OT3. Yeah, well, and then they stopped.
What did you say
OT3
they're still stopping class 8s?
stopped.
What were they doing? They stopped like a class 8 course. They cancelled it.
Yeah, because they one day she told me that somebody went there and kicked everybody out. The class is closed.
So
And she
what course was it? Delivery of class 8?
Class 8, you learn how to audit OT4, I think. So I'm sorry, OT3 is a solo, but OT4 it could have been co-audit.
So from there on, does the church not deliver that level anymore?
No, the level OT4 has been changed. It is still deliver OT4, but it's been changed.
Yeah.
OT5 has been changed. OT6,
Yeah.
7, and 8 they have been
Yeah.
changed. OT8 class 8 it was a major course. You should go to people that have done the class 8 and bow to them, because LRH would have been so proud of them. They were punished. They were just kicked out and closed the classroom, and they didn't. And then they stop a lot. They stop the co-auditing on OT4, of course, because they wanted to make money. It has been, but as usually, Andy, like you said, people are people. And one of the things LRH was not able to do is actually taking the aberration from the group. The aberration of the group is never, and it cannot be actually handled. It cannot. He tried everything, and he still, after the superpower, after the else, people continuously alteres, continuously misunderstand the tech, continuously try to abuse other people. There is this. So he experienced a failure in some way.
Yeah, I agree, because I was listening to something last night, and it was this podcast that was like the science podcast, and it had like the two guests, of course, were wearing glasses, and they were this type of tone level. I think that's 1-1, and they just. So there's nothing wrong with wearing glasses, but I just noticed that they tend to wear the thick glasses, and of course they were against anything spiritual or anything. And they're like, "Oh, that's not true. Naturopathy is a joke," and blah 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 blah. And I've been looking to these people for a long time, and it's just like, they've either got like the strongest surfac ever,
Yeah.
and it's so hard to audit them, or they are just literally insane and evil, and that is it. Like, I don't know if it's in the spiritual being or if it's in the genetic body that they're occupying, but it's just like these people are just like, whoa, they just gravitate towards negative things, and they cannot confront the truth at all, and they're just like, whoa. And it's just, I think LRH was trying to fix the world, because it's these bad people who are screwing it up. The average person is just a sheep getting pushed around, but it's these bad people that are like saying, there's no naturopathy is a load of crap. Like, they ignore the fact that like all these people do naturopathy and get better, and they go, it's not scientific, it's a load of blah blah blah. And it's just like, whoa, are you okay? Like, are you okay? Like, how about you just open up your eyes and actually look? It's doing something. You know what I mean? But they're just like, I don't know. It's like they're these crazy, insane robots that can't change, and it's just like I heard someone once say, who was I couldn't quite understand what he was saying, but I've heard the idea that they literally are these fake beings, these synthetic Satans or something. But I don't know. I just feel like LRH's tech can really wake them up and can improve them. But you know what? If they're one of these sort of people, I actually am starting to think that it doesn't matter how much auditing you give them, they are just not even human.
Hey, Andy, did you do you know David St. Lawrence?
No.
Okay, David St. Lawrence, if you ever interest, I mean, he is probably the well, Aida Thomas is a woman that she's an excellent
Oh, Ada
auditor.
Thomas. Yeah, no, Ada Thomas.
I I is a good friend of mine, and
Oh, yeah.
she's an amazing woman to me.
I thought you said David Thomas.
No, no, I write sometimes the names, but no. What is his name? St. Lawrence. And David St. Lawrence is his name,
Him.
right?
Yeah, sorry, yeah. I know Ada,
Okay.
yeah.
He is probably one of the very, very few Scientology which is helping people. He's teaching people how to audit and how to communicate with beings like it should be, that's what 37 used to be. The ability to just communicate with the inorganic being, not to control them like they teach you in the church. Oh, you have to you control inorganic being. You don't have to control anyone. You just see, you communicate. It becomes natural, uh, and inorganic beings. Every single philosophy talks about that.
Yeah. Speaking of that, yeah, just in case anyone's heard some wild things about the OT levels, like we won't go into them, but yeah, there's just so many. Like for example, because you get Leah Remini on TV bagging Scientology, right? And she'll mention something about the OT levels and say how it's silly. Yet, do you realize that Leah Remini knows like barely anything about the world and what's going on? Like she just knows about a little bit about Catholicism, and she knows a bit about Scientology, but she has like no idea of just wealth and tons of information and philosophy that talk about spirituality and talk about, other dimensions and all these unusual things. She doesn't know about them. So she's sitting there going, they told me this on OT3, and isn't that sort of weird and silly? And it's just like, yeah, it is, when you just have no idea what the truth about the world is and what's going on, and you haven't even studied all these other things, and you've just been brainwashed by the church for like 30 years. It's just like, I understand it sounds wacky. You know what I mean? Of course it does. But the truth is wacky, and it's just I don't know. I think the problem with the average person is that they think that they know what's going on. Like they think they know. So when they hear something wacky, they're like, oh, isn't that silly? But it's just like they don't realize what they don't know.
Well, you see, we go back to the things that the LRH used to say. It is true what is true for you. I mean, if you can see and communicate with spirits, inorganic beings, other Thetan, they exist. If you can't, they don't exist. You see, it's just what is awareness. So you can discuss with that. To me, I don't care. Everybody has his own path, and I do mine, and everybody is free to choose as long as they respect each other.
Yep. I spoke to a psychic once years ago, and he was doing this is when I first woke up to OT abilities, when I was first waking up like years ago, and it was like, whoa, it was like, Jesus, there's more going on. And he did this, he was doing the reading to the group of people, and he pointed me out, and I was like, oh wow, because I didn't have any like deaths in my family or anything. And he said something about me that was just like, hold on, how the hell did he know that? Like that was too far. Like that was like, whoa, these psychics are the real deal. And then I spoke to him after that, because I was so blown away, right? Because this is actually when I first got into Scientology, and I first, because I'd become spiritual. And so I spoke to him after the show because I like, obviously was like, I want what the hell? Like, I can't believe what he just knew. Like, what the hell? So I spoke to him and he said something like, he goes, yeah, that he goes, I think he said there's spirits everywhere or whatever. Or he said that he can be driving along and in a car and these spirits and shit will literally be telling him the best way to get to wherever he wants to go, the best route to go. Right?
Yeah.
So like they're literally guiding him in the traffic, saying, blah 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 blah, and he was aware that he could communicate with all these spirits around and all this sort of stuff. And it's just like, okay, so he had that ability, and it's just like, well, maybe he's a load of crap. Well, if he's a load of crap, then why is it that he actually can find better traffic when he's driving a car? How can he? You know what I mean? If it's a load of crap, then he wouldn't be able to find better ways to get places, and also he wouldn't be able to tell people in the audience shit that no one knows about. It's not a load of crap. It's just the truth. You know what I mean? And see, we're sitting here right now, and when I talk about these low-tone people, they will just ignore what I just said and go, "Nut, it's a load of crap. Doesn't exist, blah, blah, blah." And I'll go, "But look at the evidence." And this is why I think they're insane, or I don't know what the hell's going on with them. But it's just amazing. Because, like with the Leah Remini, you know what I mean? It's just like, Leah, have you gone to a thingo and spoken to a psychic and heard these stories that they're telling, and have you actually really investigated the information you've heard in the OT levels? Or are you not? And she's not. She's probably just living an average Western lifestyle, part of the rat race. She's run the TV show and all these sorts of things. But, she's probably eating food from a corporation, all these sorts of things. You know what I mean? Like you're saying, she's in the Matrix.
Yeah, you mentioned the Matrix. That's actually something I really believe with. The Matrix.
Well, I got some quotes here that I'd like to. These are some quotes from your blog, and I'd like you to elaborate on them. Okay. Now, this quote here is about the Matrix, and you said there is no truth in the game of life in the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
So, what do you mean? There's no truth?
It means that when you live in an illusion and you using your mind, which is an instrument, that belong to the Matrix, you can't see the truth. Everything that is outside the Matrix, when you trying to express it, it becomes a lie. That's why, in order to advance, you have to develop the spiritual mind, not this mind. That's why you can't talk about truth. You can only perceive it. There is a point when you are able to see, not with the eyes. When you are able to know or to not know, because in order to know, you have to not know. That that you actually have a feeling of what's happening, but is a different mind, is a higher level, so you can put it in words. Many people, many of these spiritual master, they don't study anymore. They just get the information from
They're channeling or something. Like channeling?
Yeah, channeling is. I don't know how many people channeling is something that you decide by yourself. But yeah, they pick up the information that there are in a different level, in a higher plane. There is, everything with the eyes of the body. The only thing you can see is the material universe. That's it.
So, and the material universe is illusory.
An illusion. So you can only be able to describe the illusion.
So that's why there's no truth then.
Yeah.
Wow.
But if you work enough to give strength to your spiritual mind, then you have a perception. You have the perception of the truth. You can be truth. I don't know if you understand me. Because if you are inside a prison, you can have an idea of what is outside, but if you have never seen outside, you don't know.
Ah, interesting. So you can never really know the truth about the world if you're stuck inside the prison.
Yeah, you have to leave the prison, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And,
So, until you are your body, you are the mind you think is you. You will never be able to really know. And
and
if you the tone scale is knowing, not knowing, right? Not knowing, but it's still related to the mind.
so
The
the phys
Buddhist says, yeah, the Buddhist says that it takes a lifetime just to how you say that, or everything to get rid of everything you have learned.
yeah. So I can sort of think of it in this way, in that like the physical universe, um, it's like all the laws apply like 99.9% of the time, and there's that 0.1% where that exposes them as being false. Like as in an OT can just suddenly change the pen or something, like with their mind, or you know what I mean? Because science have got this idea that like this is how it is, it happens every time, and that's the truth. But then if something comes along and can expose how that doesn't work all the time, it shows how it's not really real or something.
Well, but that you see when you say an OT that changes that plays with energy, a thetan, a static, it doesn't play with energy. It's outside the game. It is totally outside this game of black and white, pain of happiness, the dual universe. It doesn't belong to the spirit, to the static. So every time you talk about the material universe, the black and white, pain and joy, successful, not successful, you are dealing with a mass. That's
So,
the one. There is
so what about how do you live your life then? Do you try and spend most of your day outside of the matrix?
I do. I do, but doesn't mean that my body function like everybody else's body, but the body is not me.
So what do you do? Do you just sort of sit there with your eyes closed all day?
No, because the body is the body, but the body is not me. You see, you have two way. One, you are the body, then you do what the body does and you think is you. Two, you are outside the body and you watch the body, so you are not the body. The body is still doing whatever it does. The body is a program, but you are not the body. You see, so the what this is what Ospensky calls self-remembering, is who you really are, who you really are. You know, Andy, is you that is actually talking to a microphone and is interviewing me? No, that's not you. That's your body.
So
Now,
are
where
you
is
permanently exterior? Is that what you're saying? You're permanently exterior?
yeah, so yes, that's for sure. Yeah, but there are different level of exteriorization.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
are
because
that.
there's the exterior where you're still in the mess universe, but you're just like above your head. But then you're talking about exterior as in being totally out of the universe.
Yes, so and that you can really see, you can talk about that because it's a perception that the mind cannot understand. And so if I use my mouth to talk about, it means it goes through uh, a mass, an energy world, and that's something that doesn't belong there. So you will see, Andy, if your intention to know the truth is true, and your the intent, the postulate of knowing, and if your mind, the spiritual mind, will gain enough strength, you will know what I'm talking about. Right now it's probably very difficult, but
I've noticed when people talk about these moments of where they suddenly go into some other thingo that it just can't be explained, and people try and talk a bit, but you end up getting almost no answer from them because it can't be explained.
it can be explained. So the only way is walk your path always. Castaneda call it intent. The intent, LRH call the intention, the postulate. every the will, you know, the desire. So if you have that for truth, and you really, really have to desire to go for. Well, I don't care how much I suffer. How I don't care. I want to know. You know, you will always find the next stone under your feet, and you don't have to tell anyone. It's not anyone's business. Your walk. It needs to be real for you, and it changes all the time. You know, because as your awareness increases, things look different.
Can I say something as well? Because there seems to be there is sort of two versions of truth. There's the truth about the meshed universe, like just basically what's really going on with corruption and how aliens and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But so there's just to let people know, and finding out the truth about the meshed universe is fascinating, and I like it as well. It's like, whoa, it's entertaining. Yeah. It's like, and I think you need to do both. But then there's the truth I think you're talking about, which is like the truth of life itself, like totally out there, like out of this dimension, like that truth. It's like, whoa.
Yes, absolutely. You have to do whatever you have your passion. You have to follow your passion. That's why that's what Don Juan said. You have to follow the road that has a heart, where you really wanna go. Go for it. You know, it will bring you. It doesn't make sense anyway, because this is an illusion. So at least follow your heart. Do what you wanna do. You know, all this bullshit about you have to suffer, you have to sacrifice. You know, just go for the things you have passion for, because anyway, it doesn't make any difference. It's all an illusion.
Yeah, and because you mentioned this quote, "My view of life is very close to the one illustrated in The Matrix and in the movie Inception." So I actually watched Inception years ago, and I didn't pause it and stop it and clear words and all that sort of stuff to actually understand it. But Inception was like, whoa, what the hell? I understood The Matrix, right? Can you sort of elaborate what's going on with that idea?
With The Matrix?
Well, no, with this idea you're saying with like The Matrix and the Inception, and you're saying life is like that. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, Inception, I really like the movie because it gives you the idea that you can dream, and in the dream, that is your reality. In the dream, even if you are dreaming, that is your reality. You feel pain, that's it. It's like now. But then when you wake up, that wasn't there, right? You back here, and this is the reality. So we basically is the same than the Matrix. You living the life thinking that is real because you're sleeping and you having a dream, but in reality, you know, you were dreaming. So that's why I'm telling you that, to me, I don't care. You know, I know this is an illusion or dream, or call it the way you wanna call. You know, I wanna wake up, and I like to be awakened, to be awake, and so that's what I'm telling you about. But you know, to be awakened, you are when you wake up, you do not have you have awareness, but you don't have a mind. So the mind of Silvia Kusada is not going to be with me. You know, the mind is an installation that goes with the program of this universe. It's different than awareness.
So let's say we're in this universe, so it's like it being in a dream, right? Like it's not really real.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say with an insane person who's taken drugs and sent themselves insane, it's like they're going into a dream within a dream. Do you think so? Because it's like they send themselves looping, they're going into like illusionary, imaginary land or whatever. So it's like going into a dream within a dream. So they need to fix themselves up and get straight within this dream, and then
okay, Andy, the problem with drugs of alcohol, that they give you an illusion of going somewhere, but in reality they are how you say, they are solidifying you. They are making you more messed, more mass.
So they're not making you dream more, they're actually really just making you more stuck in this dream.
Yes, Exactly. Or stuck in a dream, but it doesn't take you anywhere.
The dream
You
won't
know,
take you out of this dream, yeah.
no, and that's what LRH says, but it's not only what LRH says, is also what Castaneda says. He said you should never take peyote, you should never take drugs. It's also what Ouspensky said, never, never, never do that unless you have a guide that knows what's going on and can direct you where you are going through that hallucination, through that dream. Because if you don't have somebody that knows what is happening and guides you, you are gonna get worse. No matter what you think, you're gonna get worse than before. So you're gonna get out of your awareness get corroded. You understand? Your awareness, your power get consumed. And you need power in order. I don't talk about power like the Scientology mean to control other. I think inner power to be able to see beyond the eyes and hear beyond your ear. You know, that is the power to be awakened. And so when you take drugs, you actually wasting your power. You become dull. It doesn't matter what you see, but what you see doesn't take you anywhere.
With the whole Matrix thing, are you sort of saying that we are slaves to some sort of robots or artificial beings that use us as an energy source?
Absolutely, we are. And every single philosophy tells you that.
But are they
Mythology.
artificial? Are they artificial or are they actually real
Don't know who
beings?
they are. I don't know who they are, but I tell you, they are the one that put us into this illusion. So they are actually more able than we think.
So it's not just like the evil dudes in charge of a corporation who might be human but like acting like SPs. Like you reckon that it could actually be something out of our dimension that's got us trapped in this dimension.
That is the corporation, the psychotic, the people that deceive other people. Those are a lower harmonic of the truth. That is a much lower harmonic. There are different layers. We're talking about a very, very, very high. We're talking about at the top of this illusion. Those people that have put the illusion here, the people that have gave you you don't have only one mind, you know. You have more than one mind. Did you ever? I had an experience one where I actually blew one of the mind, and there are layers. It's amazing, the program. Yeah, it's amazing, Andy. If you would
Wow.
ever go into these things, that's why how they work. When you think like I. So that when those minds they produce the thoughts, the things at the I. So you think it's you because it's I. You know, they don't say you want an ice cream. They say I want an ice cream. So when you hear that, you say I want an ice cream. It's very clever.
So you're sort of saying that there's these beings, you could even call them gods maybe, that has put us into a matrix and that we've received implants or programming to keep us in that matrix.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. But you see, The Matrix is a movie, so take it as a movie, but the concept, and you know, Castaneda talks about that, Gurdjieff talks about that, Telerage talks about that. Of course, people don't like to know. Who wants to know, you know, that actually you actually get your blood sucked every day, quote unquote. Who wants to know that? Nobody wants to know. It's terrifying.
You get what every day?
You get your blood sucked. Is a
What do you mean?
quote
Oh,
unquote.
like your
You are
spiritual, like your
auditioning.
spiritual energy gets sucked.
Yeah, you get you are, you know, the reason that that you are here is because they actually your food. You are producing something for, that there is something that, you probably gonna find your own answer, but nobody wanna know that. They all wanna know that your office is real, you are somebody, you have your daughter is for real, your money is for real. They all wanna know that there is something here. Oh, beautiful thing. Purpose. I have to save the world. I have to save the blind. I have to help everything it brings you back on being here. That's why they come back. Many people come back.
And so these people that are sucking the energy from thingos though, are they beings that are just in my vicinity right now, basically, or are they just these things that are totally out of this dimension that are just like incredibly hard to understand?
They are outside. They are outside the game, so you can't really know, right? With the mind, the mind is a little box they give you, so you think in the term of the illusion. Okay, so with that little box, you can't see outside the program because the box is a part of the program. Now, do you want to know more? Google the flyers. Google, parasites, parasite being. Google, search on your own and see what is your perception on it. You will find some stuff. It might not mean anything to you, or maybe it does. There are different ingredients, and you have to find your own. It's true
I'm gonna study
until it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna study some more. I'm gonna study some more and then rewatch all the Matrix films because I think they literally are just laying down what the truth is.
I have that feeling, and I tell you, in every philosophy I have searched and I have studied, they all talk about that. Every single one talks about that with different words, with different backgrounds, but they all talk about the same thing.
I know.
And it's interesting.
I know for sure there seems to be some sort of force of evil which guides people, and there's some sort of force of good, which could be God or something that like people can tap into that like guides people as well.
But be careful because you see the yin and the yang.
Duality.
The duality. You see, that's part of the duality. When you really feel the static, that disappears. That's the human thinking. That's a little box called mind. That's how the box thinks. So God, evil, and God, they in reality there is just a different type of energy. It's not. It doesn't really exist. It is just, if you look at the matrix, there is no good and bad, there are numbers. But the mind changes those numbers into things, right? So if you would look, if you are able to see the energy, you don't see the good and the bad anymore. You see a different type of energy. And this is actually science. This is what the scientists are actually discovering. It's like, man, this is energy. There is no, but the mind, it translates this into pictures, into emotion, into things that when an energy become bigger than the other one, we call him death, because now the form change, and is not the blue energy, is now the red energy. And so the blue energy, it looks like it died, but it's not. It's just going somewhere else, and now we have the red. So it's interesting. It's very simple, but it seems difficult, but it's very simple.
It's amazing because it's I mean what we're talking about here is like it's it probably really is the truth because like I mean apparently there are people who are like computer programmers and they look at the way the universe works and they really investigate things and or something and apparently everything turns out to just be just like computer codes, like literally just like computer program codes. Like there's some interview by Art Bell where he's talking to a guy about this. And Art Bell's like, "What do you mean it's a computer code?" And it's like, "Yeah, like you look and investigate things, and the we really is the Matrix."
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and in fact, when you go on the website, you can put the HLM version, and it's all codes. But then you put on the visual one, and there the fonts come out and the picture come out. It's like, whoa, it's very interesting, right?
Yeah. So you agree that Scientology leads you towards the truth because that's one of the things you said on your blog.
Yeah, I think I'm very happy of my studies. Absolutely, I'm very happy because one, I helped many people, and I always wanted to be of help. Two, because it gave me so much information, which I actually used to understand better the things that I study further. Scientology is based on information that the other people of other philosophies, so it's nothing new. It's just compiled into a more in an easier form, but then it gives you actually something where you know something and you go and dig more and you find
Yes,
more
I
and you
agree very much. Yeah, it gives you the idea
yeah
like hold on, things aren't what you think they
yeah
are, and then you start waking up. Like even because there's barely any information about aliens in Scientology, I think, but it gives you the idea. Hold on, no, there's something there. You know what I mean? And then
yeah
you go out and there's other experts in certain areas, and that's why I like it actually the most because it's like it's a beginning step that sends you off in this other
yes
directions. Whereas I think something like if you just did yoga, I actually feel like you wouldn't wake up to the Matrix. If you just did, um, I don't know, some of the other self help things like Tony Robbins, I don't think that that would send you on the path. I think that Scientology somehow sends you on the path, and the big thing is just word clearing because it brings up your ability to study things.
yeah, I think everyone has a different you can get to your path in different ways because truth is in different place. So if you I think everybody has his own way, as long as you do you keep your integrity in, you're gonna, if you really want to find the truth, you're gonna find it no matter what. People have found the truth before Scientology. But
Mm.
in the other side, in another hand, even if you have Scientology but you are weak spiritually, you will never find the truth. Look how many people they don't go anywhere.
Mm. Yeah.
Do you really think the superpower OT8? Do you know how many OT8 they had cancer and died few months after testing new OT8? I
Wow.
know at least 20.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why do you think that happened?
I don't know. Suppression, probably. I don't know why. There is also nutritional. In Scientology, they force you to eat protein, protein, protein,
Yeah.
but you don't drink. You don't
Yeah.
drink. You take concentrated protein. You have to drink a lot to balance the body. They don't
Mm.
do that. So there is an imbalance, nutritional imbalance. There is suppression. So there is this force, the energy of suppression is obviously, make you solid instead of expanding you. There is a different thing. So, but I know OT8 is OT really. You see, that itself it shows you that is bullshit. There is not this successful, powerful. Do you know how many people I know that after completing the health they crashed? 3 healths.
What do you mean they
You
crashed? Like
know,
they crashed a car? What do you mean?
think of it in life.
Oh,
That losing money, family gets wrong,
why?
everything.
Why?
Yeah. I don't know about the why, but let's tell you that's not the truth. That's not. Oh, I did something
Yes,
again.
wow, you look like you're all white in the face like a ghost.
Really? Okay, let me see.
That's
Okay, good.
better. Why do you
Man,
think they
okay.
crashed?
I don't know. I don't know, but I don't know and I don't care. But it's just not. There is no truth there.
Well,
And the thing
I
is,
want to do the I want to do the LZL. I want to do like almost everything and study everything that's out there in everything because I
I,
just feel like if you approach it from I guess the idea of being exteriorized and you're just in this game, you're having an adventure and you're trying new things. I just don't feel like you can get harmed.
you know something, Andy, do what you really believe is good for you, but never give up your freedom. If you have an
Yeah,
auditor that tells you you should not do that, you should not
yeah,
believe that, you should, just run away, because that is any philosophy which will take away your judgment and your freedom to think is gonna kill you.
yeah,
So
yeah,
do your make sure your auditor respect you as a being, and really apply your LRH. LRH actually in the data series it always tells you that what is true, if it's true for you, if it's not true for you, fuck it. No, and never follow anyone that would ask you to believe something just because. Never believe something just because.
yeah, yeah. Well, when it comes to the giving advice thing, is you'll notice that the more uptone people are, the more they're granting of beingness, and the more they give advice, but not in a hardcore way. But it's only the lower tone people who give advice in the hardcore way, right? And low tone
Yeah,
people advice is crap. So usually in
absolutely.
life, you're only going to be hearing crap advice because the other people don't really preach it that much. You know what I mean?
Hey, you can find the piece of truth. They said you can find some truth in the end of the day, the devil. It's true. You never know where the truth is. Listen to everybody, but be your own judge.
Mm,
So even a low-tone person can hand you a piece of truth. The low tone person will try to impose it to you. The
mm.
high tone person just give it to you and then will let you use it or not use it. You might not be ready for that. Or you might take it, put it aside, maybe in 3 years you find, oh man, that thing now I understand it. Or maybe you will never. It doesn't matter. What it matters is that you are taking the step that is good for you, and you are the only one to judge that.
Yep. I've got one last quote that you said, and this was really interesting, and I'll read it out, okay? And, it's the story of the prison or something like that, and it says, "Visualize a man who has to rescue people from a certain prison." Oh, sorry, it's out of a book. Yeah, yeah, but it was on your website blog, and it's really interesting. So
Yes.
listen to this. It's called The Prison or something. And it says, visualize a man who has to rescue people from a certain prison. It has been decided that there is only one promising way of carrying this out. The rescuer has to get into the prison area without attracting attention. He must remain there relatively free to operate for a certain period of time. The solution arrived at is that he shall enter it as a convict. He accordingly arranges for himself to be apprehended and sentenced. Like others who have fallen foul of this particular machine in this manner, he is consigned to the prison which is his goal. When he arrives, he knows that he has been divested of any possible device which would help in an escape. All he has is his plan, his wits, his skill, and his knowledge. For the rest, he has to make do with improvised equipment acquired in the prison itself. The major problem is that the inmates are suffering from a prison psychosis. This makes them think that their prison is the whole world. It is also characterized by selective amnesia of their past. Consequently, they have hardly any memory of the existence, outline, and detail of the world outside. The history of our man's fellow prisoners is prison history. Their lives are prison lives. They think and act accordingly. That sounds like
Yeah.
very much like the whole Matrix stuff.
Yeah. And this is did you can you tell me who wrote this, because it probably is the author.
Nah, I only took a photo of that section of it because I think it was the most relevant.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I think it is either Gurdjieff or Spensky that wrote that, and it's the same. And then there is Castaneda tells you also about that. Of course, in a different background, because this is from Russia, and the other one is from Mexico. So, and LRH talks about those things too in his own way.
Yeah.
But
I
but yeah,
I think yeah, I
absolutely.
think it is like someone like you got a group of people that have been in the prison for so long and they're just interested in taking like silly water to, hallucinate and have a bit of fun or whatever, and they're forgetting that anything ever existed outside of the prison. And
Yeah.
but there's a whole world outside, and some of them are going, "There's no world outside. That's a load of crap. That's just some like superstitious bullshit," you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also we were talking about the spiritual, look, if you are in a prison, we are all in a prison. Of course, people don't see the prison. They see a beautiful apartment. So you want to say, hey, do you want to get out of this prison? And say, what are you talking about? This is a beautiful apartment. Then there are some people that have a feeling, hey, it's an apartment, but there is not a door. I'm forced to stay in this apartment. And then there are the people that, they are able to float. And they say, cool, I can see this apartment from 2 feet. And they feel they are powerful and spiritual because they see the apartment from 2 feet. In truth, they are all in a prison.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you are sitting on the ground where there are rats and mice, or if you are seated from the ceiling because you are up, you're still in a prison. You see, and
Do you believe that, speaking of that floating up in the air, do you believe that if someone does Scientology, they legitimately can get to the point where they can just exteriorize at will and move around the world?
no, not in Scientology, because right now Scientology, the way it's delivered is an implant, so it doesn't make you solid.
Yeah, but
It
what
gives you.
about when I was involved with the church though, I worked for a guy and he went clear. And he said to me
Yeah,
that he can like almost exteriorize at will, or he said something like that. So what do you think about
yeah,
that?
but
Do you think he's just lying, or like, I mean, he's not lying. He wasn't lying to me.
no, no, it wasn't. But there are different degree of exteriorization. And I'm pretty sure he wasn't doing what you just mentioned.
So
I
so
actually,
he so he was doing some sort of thing where he was moving out of his body, but he couldn't just like shoot around the universe and have fun or something.
no, not that consciously. He couldn't go somewhere and tell you what exactly was going on somewhere. No, Scientology doesn't allow you to do that.
Oh, so maybe he might. So you're saying he might move out of his body, but he would never really, but in a crappy way.
Okay.
And then, so he's going, oh, it feels great and stuff, but he's not really doing the fun thing of flying around and viewing things.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, exteriorization have different degree. One of the exteriorization is the feeling of feeling expanded. You feel big. That is a degree of exteriorization. Is a
Oh, okay.
feeling.
Yeah.
Okay. Another degree on the exteriorization, you can feel like you're watching your body from above, which is a higher degree. You're a little bit far. Now you can see, you have the feeling you see in your body. But I tell you, in Scientology, no one is exteriorizing a will, because they don't want you to do that. Because if you really exteriorize a will, you can go and find out what's going on. They
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could go into those, like into CST or whatever, and investigate what Dave Miscavige is doing and all that.
Yeah. Also, the exteriorization, if you exteriorize, we're talking about degrees. Exteriorization with the use of the full use of the mind is basically obeying to a machine. When you oh my God, when you exteriorize and you go above the mind, then this is a perception. And like LH says, things don't look the way they look to a people looking through the eyes. They look very different. They look so different that people get scared. And they go back to the mind where everything looks familiar. That's actually LRH words. So you have to, when somebody tells you, yeah, I sterilize, and what did you see? Oh, there was a tree, there was a person. They totally using the mind. They sterilize, but they still in the prison. They still telling you what they see in the prison. They're not telling you what is outside. You understand the difference?
Yeah. All right, I got a controversial question here, and I think it relates a bit to this interview that we've done so far. Do you think that the independents are too casual and funky in regards to Scientology, so they never will get bigger than the church? They might need that control and discipline that the church dishes out to keep them focused on clearing the planet.
Look, I think there is no clearing the planet. I think the independent, there are really good independent. There are people that they are the same people you find in the church, but they are outside because they didn't agree with the way that they were treated, or they lose their status. You find many different independents. I have met great people. I have met people that, oh my God, that those are the same people that you find in the church. I think they are very different. So I wouldn't, but personally, I believe if you, again, to me, the value of somebody that helps you is in the amount of freedom that gives you. If somebody gives you power, gives you freedom, and it sets you free so you can work on your own freedom, that's the real Scientologist. Or that's a real spiritual, that's a real guy, that's a real auditor. Everybody else that keeps you, oh, you have to come back, you have to come back, you have to come back, oh, you don't want to deal with those. And I tell you, David St. Lawrence is amazing. I love that guy because he teaches the people to walk by themselves. He sets people free. Hey, Andy, if tomorrow this planet blows up, you are left alone with yourself. People that have the tech, they can use it on themselves, like LRH says. People that don't have it, they always dependent on somebody else. They're not gonna go anywhere. So when you choose somebody that gives you the power to walk alone, that you feel like, man, I'm gonna be able to make that step by myself. They give you tools, instead of being the tool. You understand what I say?
Yeah, because it's just like, it's like, you're not getting controlled in that. You're getting empowered.
Yeah, instead I say when you want to eat something, you have to come to my home. No, I give you the food so you can eat whenever you want. That's the real teacher.
Silvia, would you like an Andy's random question? Yeah? Yeah. Where do you think L. Ron Hubbard is now, and what do you think he's doing?
I have no clue. I have no clue. I think Ron Hubbard, personally, I think he was a brilliant, powerful person. I think he was also in a body, and like everybody in a body, the body has his own aberration. So I don't know.
Okay. We're coming towards the end of the podcast now. What wins did you get from Scientology, or are you still practicing any form of Scientology, like on yourself, or?
Scientology is a very little piece of a very broad body of knowledge. So I don't feel it's correct to say I practice Scientology, because Scientology has taken things from Scientology is a compiled philosophy from a bigger picture. So, you can't say I practice Scientology.
But do you put yourself in session though, or nah?
I'm sorry?
Do you put yourself in session or anything these days?
I don't call it session, but yes, I work on myself every day. It is my life. It's not a session. It's a life. It's a way of living.
Okay.
So
And okay.
if
And
we,
are you interested in doing like OT 8, 9, 10, and that sort of stuff?
I already did it. I passed those.
Oh, you
I
already
have
did
passed.
them.
I am way above whatever anything that Scientology can deliver.
Oh, so you feel like
Scientology,
you've EP'd Scientology.
absolutely. Scientology is a physical universe technology.
Okay.
I'm working on the static. There
Wow.
is nothing in Scientology that works on the static. It works on you using the physical universe and feeling you are caused over the physical universe.
Okay. Well, are you interested in though?
Not interested.
Because I know Ronzorg's got some of those higher OT levels. Are you interested in what they're if they're dealing with the static?
The reality level in Scientology, they do not deal with the static. They deal with you thinking you are powerful and causative in a energy universe, in a mass universe. That's the thing. That's why I tell you that Scientology is a step.
Okay.
But if you really want to work on the static, you have to jump. You arrive at the the hills, and now you have to jump.
Hmm.
So yes, Scientology it has been amazing, and it is amazing, but is a step, and it's not gonna take you anywhere outside the duality of this universe, because is the technology of how to operate in the material universe.
Did you get good wins from the Scientology you did in the church, or was it after you left the church that you really got wins in case gain?
No, I had major wins in Scientology. I major, but
What would one of them be,
the,
for example?
well, I always wanted to know who I was, and at one point I find out who I was. I answer my question, but then you have to know, Andy, that you need to know who you are in order to understand that you are not. So you need to have in order to be able to not have. That's why in Scientology they make you experience the life, so you are free of living life. Is the knowing not knowing. You are go up the scale on knowing, and then you are finally free of let go and to not know.
Ah, wow. So you get to a point where you know so much, then you can finally just not know.
Yeah, because no, because every knowingness in this universe is what keeps you here.
Wow. Do you feel confident that when you die, you can choose where you're going to go basically and be safe?
I think I'm not gonna come. I'm not gonna come back to this illusion. At least I know, But hey, no.
Okay. And what about, I'm just interested with your backtrack and stuff. Do you basically know who you were heaps of lifetimes and know all about your backtrack and stuff?
Yeah, I used to be one of the reasons I arrived in Scientology is because I was very fascinated by past life. I could see many past life, live them like I live now, like totally real. Now I tell you, there are no past life, there are dreams. So you can connect to the program and you can just know everything about that dream.
Yeah,
So
but hold on a second, hold on. But yeah, but you did live that dream because everything is a dream. So you're saying past lives
you
is more
live,
like life is more like just a dream, and past lives is more like past dreams. Is that what you're
yeah.
saying?
Well, if you look at the Matrix, you living a life, but the life doesn't even exist, doesn't it?
Mm.
But you live a life. So when you connect to another program, you think you live in that life. You pick up the data, you pick up the codes, and the mind tells you what is happening. and tells you the emotion. In reality, you are just reading codes. So if I want to know about a past life or a life or anything, I just connect to the program and I can tell you everything I want about that. So now I can do that. At the time, thanks to Scientology, it just brought me an ingredient to have that experience, which I thought was real. Then I found out it wasn't real, it's just programs. So, if my consciousness detached by this program, it can enter another program. It's fine, but I'm not interested in that nowadays. Many people leave the body and they think, oh, I want to come back because I have to fix many things. And they come back. They actually jump into another program because they have this thinking, but that's fine.
Well, you knew a bit about past lives before you even got into Scientology. How did you know that?
Yeah, because I just know. I just knew.
So you just remembered who you were and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I did.
So what about? So did you just keep it to yourself and not say anything?
Well, I didn't grow up in my family was very materialistic in a way, so they would not understand anything. My mother was very religious, but very strict, like Jesus, God, and so no, yeah, I kept it to myself until I found Scientology. And then where I was like, oh my God, finally I can talk about those things. But I had the question, who am I? Who am I? And I'm glad that it was on OT7 where I actually finally stopped answering the question because I detached. It was the first time I actually detached from all these, I guess it was a way of exterioration where I actually detached greatly from the mass of the material universe. It was nothing even nearly of what I have achieved in the last few years when I left Scientology, but it was a step, a major one. Yes, that's why I'm really grateful for everything I've done. I would never. Some people, oh my God, you lost time. No, I didn't lose anything. I spend every single time I spend in the church. I study. I study and help other people. I wasn't going around asking for money or going to the party. I didn't give a shit about those things. I really study everything I could study. And when you say I'm gonna study, hey, my heart, I think you are smart and you should do that. No matter what, that everything that has something spiritual, you picking up the truth, you giving power to your spiritual mind.
Yep. Yep.
Oh yeah.
So with someone who's not spiritual and stuff, why should they get into Scientology? Like, why should they do Scientology?
Hey, Scientology nowadays it teach you how to work in the material universe. So if you consider yourself as a piece of meat, or Joe, or Bill, or Ellen, and whatever, you go into Scientology and you really become that. It's an implant, but it gives you a sensation you are a successful Bill, you're a successful Joe.
Yeah, but it can lead you to getting out of the matrix, though, can't it? It sends you on a path of leading you out of it.
Depends. It can lead you to get out of the matrix if you are strong enough. Otherwise, it puts you inside the matrix more.
Oh, so what you observed with you, it helped you to get out, but other people, it actually put them in the matrix more.
Oh yeah, if you it depends how much power you have spiritually. Look how many people have left, how many people have actually continued to pursue the dream. The people that are you should Google I will send it to you, Andy. Please remind me the 5 steps. That's from Castaneda. It tells you exactly where people stop. And some people just want to have knowledge. Some people stop when they feel powerful. Please remind me because I forget.
Yeah, I'll write
I
it
have so
down.
many.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I will send you this information. So this information will answer this question
You know
for
what?
you.
I'll put like the
Where
link for it. I'll put the link for it in the comment section of the podcast.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. I will do that. You have to give me some time. Maybe I can have it done it tomorrow. Tomorrow, but you remind me. Send me an email or a message Sunday. Yes.
All right. Good. Yeah. So just out of curiosity, so if someone came up to you and was like, "Hey, I'm interested in going to my local org," and it was a church of Scientology, what would you say?
I would advise them to go to an independent. At least they don't get abused that much. They can always walk away.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Cool. Great. And so, your blog. How can people contact your blog and read it?
They Google my name. You know that when I left the church, Miscavige, they put up several sites against me, which they say basically I'm a whore and I am on psycho,
Drugs.
yeah, that's done by Miscavige. Somebody told me, oh, Miscavige says you are one of the worst enemy, at least at the time, it's fine. So that because they do some advertising on me,
Yeah.
people go. There are many people that are still in the church, but they Google.
Yeah.
But
So you just do you Google your name, just Silvia Kusada, and it's like that's all we need, or it's. I mean, I'll put the link for it in the comment section.
Yeah, you have my blog WordPress, right?
Yeah,
Silvia
WordPress.
Kusada,
Yeah.
also, my blog right now. I mean, if you go at the very beginning, you can see my evolution. At the beginning was a lot about Scientology. Right now, most of the things I'm talking about, many people they do not want to hear it. You see, so I had a lot of subscribers. Right now they are very limited because most people they are not just. It's very advanced.
Yeah,
So
esoteric knowledge.
It's really not real. How many people have seen the Matrix? The Matrix, millions. Is a movie. You see, some people's like, oh my god, that's actually, but no, that's a why. Even the truth, if you're not ready to see the truth, it just go over you. It just
when I first saw the Matrix as like an 11-year-old kid, the thing that was so cool about it was it was like cool, the action scenes and all that sort of stuff, and how it makes you feel like I can be like, it makes you cool because I can be like Neo. I want to fight like that. I want to be able to just like do things like that. But I think the big thing that does is you suddenly go, shit, is everything not what I think it is? You know what I mean? Is everything like fake or something? I think that's the big idea that it puts into you after you watch the movie. Like, shit, it's everything. And you know what? It's really funny because it's fucking right.
And if you see the movie now with all and keep it in mind the question about past life, you will really like it.
Yeah, I'm actually going to wait. I'm going to wait like 1 or 2 years and watch all 3 movies again, right? And then just, because I mean, it talks about the architect or whatever. Do you know how you meet the guy that looks like Colonel Sanders from KFC or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, what the hell? Like, it's just so interesting.
Yeah, if I can give you an advice, I will watch it now.
Really?
Then you cannot. I watched it probably 10 times, and
Really?
every time I watch, I actually found, because the last time that I watched it, I actually found there were some Buddhist quotes. It's like, oh my god, I never heard about these before. They were really, really deep spiritual content. Very, very deep.
It's so deep, isn't it? And the guys who made The Matrix, they've made another movie called Jupiter Ascending or something like that, and that's got a little bit more alien stuff in it. And I mean, I didn't think it was good, anywhere near as good as The Matrix, but maybe people want to see that as well. Bit interesting. Have you seen that?
No, I have seen another movie. I like it. I think I really like it, Mr. Right or Doctor what? Strange. Doctor Strange. Did you see the movie?
No. Is it good?
Okay. Oh, it's good. It's good. Is to me the best is the Matrix and Inception. Those are the best. But that one, oh my god, it was really really cool. So you
Wow.
probably able to download it online. But yeah, I would definitely, with all you know right now, after my interview, I would definitely watch the Matrix if I would. But
Yeah, I think
you
I probably should, yeah.
you have the feeling of your own step, so
Mm.
always follow what is right for you.
Yep. All right, thanks. This has been really long, real thorough. Again, another interview that's like 2.5 hours. They always seem to happen. All right, so thanks for being on, Silvia Kusada.
Absolutely. Thank you.
See ya. Bye.
Bye. Ciao.
Oh, all right. So, how did you like that interview, huh? It was pretty epic, pretty deep. Hell yeah. Now, before we end off the podcast, we're going to do an LRH quote. Listen to this one. Seriousness is solidity. When you get serious, you pull in mass and key in. You will do better in life if you are light-hearted. And that's from the Philadelphia Doctorate course, tape number 25. It's very true. It's just very true. The one thing I notice about people who are low-toned, people who are keyed in, people, not people who are insane, but people who are just low-toned, like normal people, right? But they haven't gone to that point where they've actually gone insane or gone into apathy. The people that you know, Scientology and other practices could really help, that just clearly just have too much charge going on. That the thing that they do wrong, and I used to be one of them, is they just take things too seriously. It's a big thing that they do. I used to work with someone who was like that, and he'd be serious about this and that. And it was funny as well, because sometimes he'll joke about things, right? But he'll joke about things that are irrelevant. Like, let's say you're working, right? I think I was cleaning windows with him. You're working, right? And you joke about something off a TV show or something. But when it came to the work, he was serious, man. Like, he was serious. You know what I mean? Like, far too serious. And he was just angry all the time because he was too serious. It's something that the bank does when you got a reactive mind. It tricks you into being serious, because the reactive mind is just you suddenly going into survival mode. Whenever it keys in, you're going survival mode, you know, survival mode, stress, fear, like anger, it's like survival, right? Because you're fine, and then something bad happens or some sort of danger, and it keys you into survival mode. Survival mode is serious. It's like, there's a lion coming to get you. You might fall off a building. Survive. Serious. Don't muck around. Serious. So you got someone who's going along, and because they haven't gone clear, they've got a bank there, and something happens that flips them into survival mode. So suddenly they're serious. Now the trick is to stop, obviously to get audited and get better and stuff, but also to stop and go, hold on, is this really a survival mode situation? Should I actually be scared about this person or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, let's just try and be rational here, you know? And so, like, you might be doing something at work and you should say, hold on, should I be getting so serious about this? Like, this is just a work. Like, this could be me just getting keyed in. Like, should I be so serious about this? Like, this is just stupid. And it's one thing that SPs do as well when they're controlling people, is a way to control people is that they don't just go, yeah, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, if you're like, yeah, whatever, it's not that important, it's not that serious, you can't get people to do what you want. But if you go, this is serious, this is something that has to be addressed, this is really serious, don't do that, it's danger, blah, 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 blah. It's like you put fear into people and you use this seriousness to get people to do what you want. It's really serious, you've got to study hard at school. You know what I mean? It's really serious, you've got to pay your taxes. It's really serious, you've got to do what the government says, and all this crap. It's a technique that you'll see whenever you've got low-tone people or SPs people, like, for example, when they're like a manager of a business, the vibe of the company when you walk in there and it's got this low-tone person that's a manager, the vibe is seriousness. It doesn't have a lightheartedness, funness, like silliness to it. This is serious. And for me, growing up, I hadn't really experienced much lightheartedness or not seriousness. Just things were serious, you know what I mean? And when I came across Scientology, and L. Ron Hubbard said this idea, like, that work is just a game that you're playing, kind of like Monopoly, except you're doing it, your job is like Monopoly, you know what I mean? Like, you're just playing this game to have fun and to get money, to succeed in life, like it's a game. It's suddenly like, whoa, hold on. So it's not all serious, you know what I mean? And anyway, it's very interesting. It changes your life when you stop treating things so seriously. It's just no good. It really is, and it just there's another thing as well that you can get tricked into, and it's you want to do something with your life, right? You have like a goal. And in order to make that goal become true, like maybe you want to have a lot of money, or maybe you want to make a garden or something, you think that in order to achieve that, you got to take it seriously. That's not true. And if you do take it seriously, like, yes, it can help sometimes for you to be, I'm serious about this, I'm going to do it. But the problem is that it can key you in. It makes you serious and solid. So you want to achieve this goal and you work towards it. And then a problem comes in the way and you're like, and it pisses you off and you just keying yourself into your bank. So the trick of life is to, yes, have all these postulates, have all these goals, have all these dreams, but try and achieve them in a light-hearted way and not be serious. And that is how you be OT, and that is how you pull the postulate off. That's how you achieve it, by not being serious. Because you see, if you were really great with your postulates, you wouldn't have to be serious. You could just have the postulate, I want that fantastic garden made. And you can be casual about it. And because we live in some sort of matrix or whatever, and our thoughts can create reality, then it'll be created. But if you're saying, I want that garden, and I better have that garden, that person better rock up on time, and I'm not going to put up with this, and we're blah, 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 we're going to make this garden, we're going to be all hardcore about it. It's like, hold on. So with that attitude, it shows to me that you're concerned that you won't be able to get this garden. Why are you taking it so serious? Are you worried you won't be able to make the garden? Well, that worry will stop you from achieving that garden. And this is why the whole attitude of the Sea Org, instead of being tone 40, it changed. I think L. Ron Hubbard's original idea of it was tone 40. Not serious, but tone 40, which means you just, boom, do it. No questions asked. Just do, act, do, action, boom, 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 tone 40, do it. Right? As opposed to, like, we've got to do this, and this is serious, and blah, 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 blah. You know, that's not the right attitude, because the Sea Org's doing that too often, because the Sea Org's not full of people who are OT. The staff of the Sea Org aren't really OT. So they got sucked into thinking how to be OT is to be serious about things. That's not what OT is. That's like a false OT. That's a load of bullshit OT. That's a log world OT. That's what that is. Achieving something by being serious. No. The actual proper way to be OT requires no force and no seriousness. Very interesting. Anyway, you got to be lighthearted about everything. You got to have fun. You got to not be serious. It's the worst thing. It's a terrible thing. So that's it for the podcast. I've been your host, Andy Nolch. It's time for you now to climb out of this rabbit hole, out of this funky Scientology world. If you like this adventure, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Thanks for listening. And until next time, take care of yourself and get up that bridge.